Chapter 2489. They looked at each other and nodded. Then they sat down at the table. Where did Imo-chan go? Why didn't I see him here? Xianyuan Mose looked at them and asked. Well, they hesitated, then said, We don't know either. We went back to the sect first, and Fengjiu came later. The demons attacked us before we could meet them, so we didn't have the chance to ask Fengjiu. Songming paused for a moment, then said, We don't know where Imo-chan went, but we know a little about Guan Shilin. He glanced at Xianyuan Mose, then told him about Guan Shilin. He knew that he had been in the outer sea for a long time, so he might not know much about what happened here. After hearing Songming's words, Xianyuan Mose nodded. So Guan Shilin is not in the hands of the demons, but has escaped. Yes, that should be the case. It's just that we don't know where he is now. But we thought that if he escaped, he should come here after hearing the news. He might already be on his way. Maybe he will arrive here in a few days. As they were talking, Fengjiu came out with Feng Yi and Zhao Yang. Ning Lang just came in with people carrying things. Seeing that they were all around the table, he said something to the people behind him. Not long after, another table and a few chairs were placed in the courtyard. Song Ming and the others stood up and smiled at Fengjiu, saying, Take the two of them and sit here. We'll sit here. With that, he went to another table and sat down. By the way, how is the old man? Is his injury better? Fengjiu looked at them and asked, Hun Yuan, immortal monarch, you don't have to worry. With the elixir you gave him and the treatment of the sex pharmacist, his condition has stabilized and he's no longer in danger. I went to see him this morning. He's just a little pale, but everything else is fine, Ning Lang said as he sat down and scooped up a bowl of porridge to eat. Breakfast was porridge and side dishes. They ate and chatted. After breakfast, the things on the table were removed. Fengjiu looked at Feng Yi and Zhao Yang and said, You two don't run around. Wait for me here. After this matter is settled, I will take you home. Speaking of going home, her expression softened. She looked at the two of them and asked, You haven't been home for so long. Are you homesick? Yes, I do. I also miss my father and mother, Feng Yi said, blinking a pair of pure eyes at her. Zhao Yang, on the other hand, lowered his head because his parents were long gone. He had no home for a long time. Looking at Feng Yi's appearance, Fengjiu smiled. Seeing Zhao Yang next to her with his head lowered, she reached out and rubbed his head, saying, Yang Yang, the Feng family is also your home. We are all your relatives. Moreover, you have always called me Sister Feng. Hearing this, Zhao Yang raised his head and looked at her. A warm current passed through his heart. Sister Feng, I know. Well, let's play in this courtyard for a while first. I will ask White and the others to come out and accompany you. Hearing the two words White by Xiao, who was sitting among Song Ming and the others, said with a smile, I haven't seen White for a long time. I heard that it has advanced again. Chapter 2490. When Lao Bai came out of the space and saw Bai Xiao, he immediately snorted in disdain. He scurried over to Fengjiu, but before he could get close, Xianyuan Mose grabbed his tail and flung him away. Which king? Before he could finish cursing, he turned around and saw the cold face of the Yama Lord. He was so scared that he shrank back and hid behind Bai Xiao. Xiao Bai, long time no see. He grinned embarrassedly, revealing a set of white teeth. Xianyuan Mose glanced at him and ignored him. Instead, he looked at Fengjiu. Aren't you going to see Hun Yuanzi? I'll go with you. Okay, she said with a smile. She let Ning Lang lead the way while the others stayed behind. Hun Yuanzi had been seriously injured by the Devil Lord. Fortunately, Fengjiu's pills had protected his heart and meridians. Coupled with the treatment from the sex pharmacist, he was no longer in any danger after a night had passed, although he was still lying in bed. Xianyuan Mose accompanied Fengjiu to Hun Yuanzi's cave abode and stopped outside. Go in. I'll wait for you outside. Okay, Fengjiu responded, then said to Ning Lang, sit with him for a while. I'll be out in a while. With that, he walked inside. Old man, I'm here to see you, Fengjiu shouted as soon as he entered the cave abode. Then, he heard a wail coming from the originally silent cave abode. Ouch, it hurts so much. Ouch, my old bones are going to fall apart. Hun Yuanzi, who was lying on the bed, shouted weakly. He looked outside from time to time, but when he saw Fengjiu come in, he quickly closed his eyes and shouted again. Hearing this, Fengjiu smiled. All right, you don't have to shout. I heard from Ning Lang that you're much better now. She came to the bedside and checked his pulse. After a short while, she put it down and said with a smile, I knew you wouldn't die. After recuperating for a while, you'll be able to go out and harm people again. Hearing this, the old man glared at him. What do you mean by going out to harm others? Since when did this old man harm anyone? You stinky girl, this old man is already lying on the bed injured like this, and you still don't know how to say a few nice words to coax me. You really have no conscience. Fine. I'm heartless. She chuckled and took out a medicine bottle. I brought you medicine without any conscience. Do you want it or not? Seeing this, the old man hurriedly snatched it and hid it under the blanket. It's a waste if you don't take it. As he spoke, he glanced at Fengjiu and said, This old man still has something to ask you. Seeing this, Fengjiu nodded. Go ahead. The two of them were chatting in the cave. Outside, although Ning Lang and Xianyuan Mose were sitting at a stone table outside the cave, there was no disciple doing odd jobs to bring them tea or anything to pass the time. The two of them just sat there, especially in front of Xianyuan Mose, who had such a strong aura. It made him feel uneasy. When Ning Lang saw that the two of them were just sitting there without saying a word, he thought for a moment and asked, Yama Lord, have you finished your business overseas? Do you still need to go out in the future? Xianyuan Mose glanced at him and asked indifferently, Are you very concerned? Huh? Chapter 2491. Xianyuan Mose's eyes moved slightly. He looked towards the cave and said in a low voice, I will spend more time with her in the future. Seeing this, Ning Lang scratched his head. He was not Songming. He did not have so many things to talk about, especially with such a cold person. He had nothing to talk about. He calmed down and stretched his neck to look at the cave from time to time. He was really waiting for someone to die. Originally, being alone with the Yama Lord was such a terrifying feeling. He really did not know how Fengjiu fell in love with such a person. That cough. Why don't you sit for a while? I'll go to the outhouse. He stood up embarrassedly. He felt that he could not sit with him anymore. The atmosphere was too tense. Xianyuan Mose did not even look at him. He replied, Go. Ning Lang let out a sigh of relief and quickly left. Not long after, Fengjiu came out of the old man's cave. When she saw Xianyuan Mose sitting there alone, she could not help but be surprised. Where's Ning Lang? She looked around, but did not see Ning Lang's shadow. He left, Xianyuan Mose said, and stood up to welcome her. Maybe he was sitting with me and said that he was going to the outhouse. Then, he left and did not come back. Xianyuan Mose's lips curled up slightly. He also felt that it was quite interesting. Fengjiu could not help but laugh when she heard this. You don't say. Ning Lang is really like that. She held his hand and said, Let's walk around the Nebula Immortal sect. Are you planning to wait for your brother here? Xianyuan Mose asked, Did they tell you? She raised her eyebrows. When she saw him nodding slightly, she smiled and said, Counting the days, he should have arrived in the Nebula Immortal sect in these 2 days since he escaped from the demons. I think that he will definitely come after hearing the news. Since that's the case, let's wait for him here for a few days. When the time comes, we'll go back together. Now that you know that Feng Yi is still alive, when do you plan to bring him back to see your grandfather? After I see my brother, I'll go and thank Feng Ye's master. After all, if it wasn't for him saving them, they wouldn't be alive right now. Naturally, I have to thank him personally for saving our lives. She held his hand and walked with him at a leisurely pace on the sect's small path. Because it was early in the morning, there weren't that many people. The environment of the sect's small path was also not bad. Some of the sect's disciples who woke up early were cultivating on the grass. When they vaguely saw them, they came forward and bowed to them. Some of the sect's female disciples couldn't take their eyes off Xianyuan Mose. The two of them chatted as they walked. They did not return directly to the courtyard. Instead, they came to the peak of the sect and sat down on a large rock where they could see the entire sect. You've been away for so long, what happened? Tell me about it. She leaned on his side and looked at the scenery in front of her. All right, Xianyuan Mose replied, then told her about what happened in the overseas territories. As they chatted, the two of them forgot that the people in the courtyard were still waiting for them to return. The people in the courtyard waited for them for an entire morning, but did not see them return. When they saw Ning Lang enter, they went up to greet him. Ning Lang, why are you the only one back? Where are Feng Jiu and Yama Lord? Chapter 2492. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Didn't you go with them? How could you not know where they went? Well, he smiled awkwardly. Feng Jiu went in to see the Hunyuan Immortal Lord, and then I sat outside with the Yama Lord. You know, the Yama Lord's aura made me feel uncomfortable sitting with him, so I left first. I thought they were back, so I wanted to come and take a look, but I didn't expect. Song Ming smiled and said, the two of them haven't seen each other for so long. They must have a lot to talk about. Maybe they found a place with no one around to chat. Don't worry, there won't be any problems in this sect. Besides, their strength won't be a problem. As he spoke, he yawned and said, I originally wanted to wait for them to come back to discuss the matter of the demon race. Since they are not here, I will go back and catch up on my sleep. As he spoke, he waved his hand and left. Then I'll go back and sleep for a while too. Duan Yi and Luo Fei also left, leaving only by Xiao, Feng Yi, and Zhao Yang. Ning Lang was also about to leave when Bai Xiao called out to him. Don't go. Aren't you familiar with the Nebula Immortal sect? Since you have nothing to do, why don't you show us around? As Bai Xiao spoke, she looked at Feng Yi, Zhao Yang, and Feng Jiu's beasts and asked, what do you think? Sure. Feng Yi answered, his eyes shining with excitement. Lao Bai grinned. Originally in his dragon form, he transformed into his horse form with a shake of his body. He swung his tail and asked while drooling, are the female disciples of this sect beautiful? Hearing this, Bai Xiao helplessly touched her head. Lao Bai, why haven't you changed your personality? Don't blame me for not reminding you. The Yama Lord is here. If he sees your lecherous look, he might kill you one day. Hearing this, Lao Bai trembled and his eyes widened in shock. I don't want to. He took a few steps back. All right, since you want to walk around, I'll take you to the back mountain of our sect. Ning Lang looked at them and said, there are fruit trees planted by our sect there, as well as some small beasts. We can go there and pick some fruits to eat. All right. Feng Yi clapped his hands excitedly and asked, are we going to walk or ride our beasts? As he spoke, he walked over to Tunyun and stroked its fur. I really want to ride a Tunyun beast. Then come up, Tunyun said, lowering his body to let him up. For the Feng family, it could still treat them differently. Yeah, that's great. He jumped onto Tunyun's back excitedly and said to Zhao Yang, Yang, you can ride Old White. Zhao Yang shook his head, I'll walk. Then follow me. Ning Lang smiled and led them to the back of the mountain. Meanwhile, on a mountain path far away from the Nebula Immortal sect, Guan Shilin and Yi Jing were sitting under a tree and eating. I heard that the demons have retreated, and a bearded man appeared at that time. According to those people, this person is most likely Xianyuan Mo's. Hearing this, Yi Jing said, with him around, those demons won't be able to hurt Feng Jiu. Chapter 2493. He paused for a moment, then laughed. I didn't expect him to be so powerful. What a surprise. He had never known the extent of Xianyuan Mo's cultivation. He only knew that Xianyuan Mo's was very strong. And after the battle with the Devil Lord, he knew that Xianyuan Mo's strength had always been above Feng Jiu's. His style of doing things seems to be rather low-key, and no one knows how powerful he is. If it wasn't for the battle with the Devil Lord, I reckon none of us would have known that his strength had reached such a level. Yi Jing said, then asked curiously, I heard you say that he originally went overseas with his master. If he's so powerful, is his master even more powerful? Hearing this, Guan Shilin smiled. As the saying goes, the master can show you the way, but your own cultivation depends on you. It's not that he's so powerful. His master must also be so powerful. Could it be that his master's strength is inferior to his? Yi Jing was surprised and found it hard to believe. I don't know about that, but I know that Xianyuan Mo's himself is extraordinary. It's said that when he was very young, he had already formed a contract with the ancient divine beast, the Azure Dragon. Moreover, after so many years, only a few people know that the Azure Dragon is with him, and the azure dragon usually doesn't appear in normal battles. Yi Jing nodded and said, with his powerful combat strength and unfathomable cultivation, he can defeat his enemies without the azure dragon. So there's no need for the azure dragon to appear. Just as they were chatting, they suddenly heard the sound of swords clashing in battle from not far away. Among the sounds, there is also the sound of a woman calling for help. Someone's calling for help. Shall we go and take a look? Yi Jing stood up as she spoke. Guanshelin stood up as well, tilted his head to listen, and pointed in a direction over here. He stepped inside and withdrew his aura. The two approached silently, and when he saw a group of mercenaries fighting against a dozen young men and women, he said to Yi Jing beside him, "Wait for me here. Be careful." Although Yi Jing knew that he was very strong, she still warned him. Guanshelin took a step forward and slashed out with his saber. His saber collided with the saber of one of the mercenaries and sent him flying a few meters away. "Who dares to meddle in our business?" The mercenary was furious. He stared at Guanshelin, who had suddenly appeared, and sized him up. When he saw that the other party was just a mystic in plain clothes, he immediately ignored him. "What a busybody. We'll cut you down as well." 20 to 30 mercenaries brandished their swords and rushed forward. Some of them dealt with Guanshelin, while others dealt with the young men and women. Because many of the young men and women were injured, their fighting strength had decreased. Seeing this, Yi Jing, who was hiding in the shadows, also came out to help the injured to the back and bandage their wounds. She shouted to those people, helping to fend off the mercenaries. However, her strength might be considered strong in the lower continent, but it was very ordinary in the upper continent. Chapter 2494. In any case, they were all disciples of their families who had undergone strict training. However, when they saw the man's ferocious attacks, as well as his terrifying killing intent and astonishing battle prowess, they couldn't help but be shocked by his strength. Even the elders in their families didn't have such strong battle strength. In particular, with his appearance, nearly half of the mercenaries who were originally attacking them had gone to surround him. Beside him, the corpses of those who had been killed fell one by one, each of them with their eyes wide open, as if they were unwilling to accept their fate. With his help, the critical situation gradually turned around, and their anxious hearts also relaxed, especially when there was a beautiful woman in a white dress beside them protecting them. "Quick, hemostatic medicine. Quickly give him hemostatic medicine to stop the bleeding. If not, he won't be able to live." A few young men and women with lighter injuries supported a man and retreated, quickly taking out hemostatic medicine to help him stop the bleeding. However, because their bodies were trembling, their hands trembled, and more than half of the medicine was spilled on the man's wound. However, almost half of the medicine was poured, but the bleeding still didn't stop. "What do we do? What do we do? It doesn't seem to be able to stop it." "Sprinkle more. Pour the whole bottle on him." Yes, pour it all on him." They hurriedly poured the medicine, but still couldn't stop the blood from gushing out. Seeing that the man's face was getting paler and paler, a woman beside him whispered, "That's right. I have medicine. My father gave it to me for self-defense. He said it was the ghost doctor's medicine that he bought at a high price." She hurriedly took it out, but before she could open it, a man beside her snatched it away. "Let me." As the man spoke, he opened the lid and poured the medicine out. Seeing that the blood was gradually stopping, the few of them couldn't help but exhale lightly and stared at the bottle of medicine with some amazement. Everyone says that the ghost Dr. Fengjiu's medicine is very powerful. Seeing it today, I know it's so different. The man praised. Seeing that a life was saved because of this medicine, he couldn't help but be moved. On the other side, Guanshelin finished off the mercenaries in a short time. He turned around and saw that Yi Jing's white dress was stained with blood, and her arm was also cut. He couldn't help but walk over to her side. "Didn't I tell you to wait at the side? Look, you're injured." He pulled her to the side and took out some medicine to bandage her wounds. Yi Jing smiled. "I'm fine. It's just a minor injury." As she spoke, she looked at the young men who were sitting on the ground and said, "They seem to be heavily injured. Don't worry about them for now. I'll bandage you first. Without another word, he simply cleaned her wound and tore off a piece of cloth to bandage it. Only then did he say, "Sit here and wait for me." Turning around, he returned to the pile of corpses and collected all the valuables from the mercenaries before returning to Yi Jing's side. "I've never seen you like treasures so much before." She couldn't help but tease him. "You've already collected a lot along the way." Haha, of course. I didn't need to marry in the past, but now that I'm going to marry, I naturally have to save up more money to support my wife. Hearing this, Yi Jing couldn't help but blush. "Can't you be more serious?" Chapter 2495. Just as the two of them were joking around, the injured youths walked over, supporting each other. They bowed respectfully and gratefully to the two of them. "Thank you for saving us." "All right, there's no need to say thanks. Let's go, let's go." Guan Shilin waved his hand, indicating for them to leave. After those people looked at each other, they looked at the two of them and respectfully bowed again. One of the men said, "Big brother, our residence is in the city ahead. If you don't mind, why don't we invite you to rest in our residence so that we can repay you for saving our lives?" The city ahead? Guan Shilin thought for a moment. They were still some distance away from the Nebula Immortal sect, and were going to the city ahead anyway. Since that was the case, why not? "Hey Qing, what do you think?" He looked at her and asked. If she felt uncomfortable being a guest in someone else's residence, then she wouldn't go. "I'm fine. You could decide." Yi Qing smiled. Seeing this, he nodded and said to the man, "Then we'll be going to your residence. Sorry to disturb you." The youths were very happy to hear this because there was still some distance to the next city. With their protection, they would be safer. Thus, after resting, the group left the forest and headed to the next city on their swords. When they reached the city, it was already evening. The group of youths said their goodbyes and went home. The man who invited Guan Shilin and Yi Qing supported the heavily injured man next to him and said to the two, "My residence isn't far from here. Please follow me." Guan Shilin nodded. Along the way, he already knew that the man in his 20s was surnamed Qiao. He was the eldest young master of the Qiao family, Qiao Inua. The person he was supporting was his childhood friend, Shi Yuancheng. He held Yi Qing's hand and followed him into the city. Not long after, they arrived in front of the Qiao residence. He knocked on the door, and when the person inside opened it, he couldn't help but be shocked. "Eldest young master, what happened to you? Isn't this young master sure? How did you get injured like this? Quick, get someone to help Yuancheng inside." He helped the person beside him to the housekeeper and heaved a sigh of relief. "Help him inside to rest first. Then inform Uncle Sure and the others." All right. The steward hurriedly responded and beckoned for two people to help them inside. Only then did he look at Guan Shilin and Yi Qing. "Eldest young master, may I ask who these two are?" "He's my guest. Send a few people to the northern courtyard to serve him and tell the kitchen to prepare some food." As he spoke, he gestured to the two of them. "Brother Guan, Miss Yi, please follow me." The two of them followed him to the northern courtyard. As soon as they entered the courtyard, Qiao Inua said, "Please rest here first. If there's anything you need, you can ask the servants to do it for you. I'll come back later." He bowed and left. Guan Shilin glanced at the courtyard and said to Yi Jing, "You stay in the room on the left, and I'll stay in the room on the right." "Okay," Yi Qing answered. Then she saw the housekeeper bringing two servants and two maids over. "Both of you." The housekeeper bowed and said, "These servants were instructed by the eldest young master. If there's anything you need, you can ask them to do it for you." Chapter 2496. All right, the housekeeper replied and left after giving instructions to the four men. The four men retreated to wait outside the courtyard, while Guan Shilin and Yi Qing sat in the courtyard. The Qiao family seems to be a big family in this city. The decorations here are very impressive, Yi Qing said as she looked at the decorations of the courtyard. Guan Shilin smiled and said, "After you marry me, you can decorate the residence however you want." Yi Qing blushed and said, It's too early to talk about this now. It's not. Once we're done here, we'll go back. I'll send you back to the Yi family first, and then I'll ask my parents to pick an auspicious day to propose marriage. He had already made arrangements in his heart. When things were done here, he would go back and arrange the marriage first. The two of them chatted casually. After the hot water in the room was prepared, they went into their own rooms to bathe and freshen up. On the other side, Qiao Yinaw, who had returned to the Qiao family, went to her father's courtyard and told him about what had happened outside. Fortunately, we met Brother Guan on our way back. If he hadn't saved us, I'm afraid we would have died at the hands of those mercenaries, Qiao Yinaw said. He saved all of you by himself. Master Qiao was surprised. According to what you said, the mercenaries you met were all at the fairy realm, and there were 20 to 30 of them. How could he have killed so many of them by himself? Brother Guan was very strong. He wielded a large saber and killed a mercenary with a swing of his sword. Moreover, he killed all of them without suffering any injuries. Qiao Yinaw continued, I thought that since they had saved us and weren't too far away from the Qiao family, I invited them to our residence as guests. I reckoned that they were in a hurry and might leave tomorrow. Master Qiao nodded. You did the right thing. We have to repay you for saving our lives. Tell the kitchen to prepare a banquet. I'll thank this young Master Guan properly tonight. All right, father. I'll go and see if Yuan Chong has been taken away. He's badly injured. If it weren't for the ghost doctor's special hemostatic medicine that Yuan Chong's father gave, Yuan Chong probably wouldn't have made it here. The ghost doctor's hemostatic medicine? Master Qiao was stunned. I didn't expect them to be able to buy it. It said that the ghost doctor's medicine has miraculous effects. However, not many people can buy it. They probably spent a lot of money. As he spoke, he waved his hand. Go back to the courtyard and change your clothes first. I'll send someone to call you tonight. Yes, Qiao Yinaw replied and then left. After receiving the news, Master Qiao Yinaw, Master Qiao, Master Qiao Yinaw, Master Qiao. When he heard the news, Master Qiao Yinaw received, Master Qiao Yinaw, Master Qiao, Master Master. Some of the young disciples who returned home prepared gifts and prepared to pay a visit to the Qiao family tomorrow to thank the young master surnamed Guan. Some of them ignored it and pretended not to know anything. That night, Guan Shilin and Yi Qing, who had bathed and changed their clothes, were invited to the banquet in the front yard. The head of the Qiao family personally expressed his gratitude to them and even gave them many gifts as thanks. Chapter 2497. That night, Guan Shilin and Yi Qing rested in the Qiao family's courtyard. After the banquet was over, the Qiao family's head frowned and walked around the courtyard with his hands behind his back. Father, you were looking for me? Qiao Yinaw walked in and was surprised to see his father walking around the courtyard with his hands behind his back. Seeing him, the Qiao family's head sat down at the table in the courtyard and asked, Think about it carefully. On your way back, did young Master Guan mention anything about his identity? Or did he mention anyone else? Qiao Yinaw was startled. Father, why do you ask? Who is this Brother Guan? What is his identity? He shouldn't have anything to do with us, right? The Qiao family's head was silent for a long time before he said, When I saw him tonight, I thought of someone, but I'm not sure. Who? Qiao Yinaw was curious. The Qiao family's head glanced at him and said, Do you know that the ghost Dr. Fengjiu has a sworn brother? I think so. Qiao Yinaw nodded. It said that the two of them are very close. Then do you know the name of this sworn brother? The Qiao family's head asked again. His surname seems to be Guan, but I don't know his real name. After all, he lived far away and had never interacted with him. Even if he had heard of him, he wouldn't have taken it to heart. Guan Shilin. The ghost Dr. Fengjiu's sworn brother is Guan Shilin. The Qiao family's head lit up. As Patriarch Qiao spoke, his eyes lit up. It is said that he has a large saber in his hand. That is a rarely seen divine weapon. Hearing this, Qiao Yinaw was startled. Father, are you saying that this Brother Guan might be Guan Shilin, the ghost Dr. Fengjiu's sworn brother? That's right. He nodded and said, Tonight, when I saw him, I felt that his aura was extraordinary. Furthermore, he was a mystical cultivator, and he was able to fight against so many fairy realm powerhouses by himself. I don't think I'm wrong. He stood up and clasped his hands behind his back. Your grandfather has been in a coma ever since he met with danger outside last year. This news has been sealed, and the outside world has never known about it. He is the pillar of our Qiao family. If the outside world knows that he has fallen, our Qiao family will definitely be suppressed. His voice paused as he looked at Qiao in awe and said, Father had also gone to the Heavenly Pill building to visit the ghost doctor and ask her to treat your grandfather, but I didn't even get to see her face. If this young Master Guan who came to our house today is really the ghost doctor's brother, we naturally can't let go of such a good opportunity. When Xiao Yinhua heard the news, she was stunned. Grandpa is unconscious? Father, you've never mentioned this to me. Only a few elders, and I know about this. I'm telling you today because I see a glimmer of hope. Hearing this, Xiao Yinhua thought for a while and said, I will go to the northern courtyard and ask. If Brother Guan is really the ghost doctor's brother, I will beg him to speak on our behalf and let the ghost doctor meet us. Father will go with you. Patriarch Xiao said, indicating for him to go with him. Thus, the father and son went to the northern courtyard. In the northern courtyard, Guan Shilin, who had just returned, sat down in the courtyard and let the cool breeze blow away some of the drunkenness on his body. Yi Qing wrung a towel and wiped his face. She sat down at the table and said, Why do I feel that Patriarch Qiao has been trying to find out about your identity tonight? Chapter 2498. Guan Shilin smiled. I saw him wanting to say something a few times but hesitating. He probably guessed my identity. No, he probably guessed my relationship with Xiaojiu. His identity was nothing special, but once he was involved with Xiaojiu, he would become the ghost Dr. Fengjiu's elder brother. Therefore, he guessed that Master Qiao's hesitation wasn't directed at him, but at his sister Xiaojiu. Hearing this, Yi Qing understood and smiled. Jiu's identity as the ghost doctor is too well known. Now that he has so many more titles, he naturally can't be compared to others. It's normal for someone to want to get close to him. The two chatted in the courtyard. When they vaguely heard footsteps, Guan Shilin raised his hand, and the two fell silent and sat in the courtyard. Not long after, they heard voices from outside the courtyard. Brother Guan, Xiao Yinua's voice sounded. Guan Shilin turned around and saw that even his father had come. He stood up with a smile and asked, You two haven't slept yet? Yi Qing nodded at the two of them and left to rest in her room. Young Master Guan. Master Qiao walked in with a smile and came to the table. Actually, I came to disturb young Master Guan's rest tonight because I have something to ask you. Sit. Guan Shilin smiled and gestured for the two to sit. The servants waiting outside served them tea and left immediately. They didn't even stand guard outside the courtyard. Seeing this scene from the corner of his eye, Guan Shilin's smile deepened. Master Qiao, please speak your mind. May I ask if young Master Guan is young Master Guan Shilin? He asked directly, his gaze falling on Guan Shilin. Hearing this, Guan Shilin smiled. So what if I am? So what if I'm not? To tell you the truth, young Master Guan, I actually have a favor to ask of you. He briefly explained the matter to the man sitting in front of him. Finally, he said, because I have been to the Heavenly Pill building before, but I have never been able to see the ghost doctor and ask her to treat my father. So when I saw young Master Guan here today, I was shocked by young Master Guan's demeanor and aura. Only then did I realize that young Master Guan might be the ghost doctor's sworn brother, Guan Shilin. As he spoke, he stood up, lifted his robe, and knelt down in front of Guan Shilin. Young Master Guan, please understand my heart as a person, and also understand that I have a heavy responsibility as the head of the Qiao family. I have no choice but to think for the Qiao family. Please help me. Father, Xiao Yinhua couldn't help but exclaim when she saw her father kneeling down and begging. Seeing her father's resolute expression, she followed suit and knelt down. Please help me, Brother Guan. Guan Shilin stood up and looked deeply at the father and son kneeling in front of him. Master Qiao's kneeling was sudden and extremely fast. Even Guanxilin didn't expect that a dignified master like him would kneel down just like that. It was too late to stop him, and at this moment, Xiao Ino also knelt down. Seeing this, he couldn't help but shake his head and go forward to help him up. Master Qiao, young Master Qiao, please get up first. Young Master Guan, are you willing to help? Master Qiao asked, holding his hand but didn't get up. Compared to stabilizing the Qiao family and saving his father, this kneeling was nothing. Actually, you don't have to do this. As he spoke, he used his strength to help them up. Chapter 2499. My sister isn't a cold-blooded person. Since you're here to seek medical treatment, as long as you're sincere enough, I think she'll treat you. As he spoke, his eyes lit up as he looked at the two of them. He then smiled and said, however, she's indeed a busy person. She runs around all day and doesn't stay in the Heavenly Pill building often. So, it's normal that you won't be able to see her even if you go. Then, the head of the Qiao family opened his mouth. Just as he was about to ask, he heard him speak again. Since you've all knelt before me, I'll help you. However, I want to tell the head of the Qiao family that before she treats your father, she'll definitely send people to gather information about the Qiao family. If she finds out that you're a family that bullies the weak and oppresses the common people, I reckon that even if I go and tell her, she won't save you. Hearing this, the head of the Qiao family hurriedly said, rest assured, young Master Guan. Although our Qiao family isn't a benevolent family, we've always been upright. We've never had any unfilial descendants or bullies the common people. Seeing this, Guanxilin nodded. You can send the old man to 100 River City first. When we return to 100 River City's Heavenly Pill building, it'll be more convenient for her to treat him. Good. I'll arrange it tomorrow. The head of the Qiao family said happily and thanked him repeatedly. After the two of them thanked him repeatedly, they said that they wouldn't disturb his rest and left first. When only Guanxilin was left in the courtyard, Yi Qing, who had returned to her room and didn't participate in this matter, walked out. What if Ajio doesn't treat them when the time comes? She had heard most of the conversation from her room. Haha, she won't. He smiled and walked towards her, saying, in my opinion, this Qiao family style is indeed not bad. Moreover, he's asking to treat his father's illness. Although he has the intention to help his family, he's also filial. Xiaojio is a person who values friendship the most. For this kind of matter, as long as she can treat it, she'll definitely help. Hearing this, Yi Qing couldn't help but laugh. Then why did you scare him and say that he won't be treated for bullying the common people? It's not to scare him. It's a warning. Guanxilin held her hand and said with a smile, well, let's not talk about this anymore. It's getting late. You should go to bed. We still have to continue our journey tomorrow. All right, then you should rest early too. She replied before returning to her room to rest. After Guanxilin watched her enter her room, he followed her into the other room to rest. The two of them had a good night's sleep and slept until dawn. The next morning, Guanxilin and Yi Jing were having breakfast when Xiao Inua walked in. Brother Guan, miss ye. He bowed and said with a smile, Big Brother Guan, my friends and their family elders are waiting outside with generous gifts. They want to thank you in person. Hearing this, Guanxilin waved his hand and said, No, we're leaving soon. I'm too lazy to entertain you. He didn't have that much free time. Seeing this, Xiao Inua said, Since Brother Guan doesn't want to see them, I'll tell them to go back. All right, Guanxilin replied and watched as Xiao Inua walked out. Not long after, he returned, but behind him were a few servants carrying gifts. Chapter 2500. Looking at the gifts, Guanxilin smiled. How could I accept this? Xiao Inua ordered people to move the gifts to the inner room and said, These are just some of their kind intentions. Compared to Brother Guan saving us, these things are nothing. Since you've said so, then I'll accept this gift. He laughed and didn't refuse. Brother Guan and Miss Yi plan to leave today? Why not stay here for a few more days? Let me take you to see the city's scenery? No, we still have to rush to the Nebula Immortal Sect. If we're late, I'm afraid we won't be able to see them. He smiled and waved his hand, saying, "But you too, after we leave, you can prepare to leave for 100 River City." "Yes, we know," he replied and said to the two, "Then I'll go to the front first. I'll send you two off later." He then left. Regarding Guan Shilin's identity, Patriarch Xiao did not tell the other patriarchs who were drinking tea with him in the main hall. After all, he knew that Guan Shilin did not want too many people to know his identity. If the people in the city knew about it, they would definitely rush over to pay him a visit. Furthermore, he was leaving today. After he left, they would send the old man to 100 River City and wait for the ghost doctor to return. Therefore, he was a little absent-minded as he drank his tea. Brother Qiao? Brother Qiao? Patriarch Shi was a little surprised. He felt that he was a little absent-minded today, as if he was not listening to their conversation. Patriarch Qiao recovered and looked at him with a smile. "Brother Shi, what's the matter?" "Brother Qiao, why do I feel that you're a little absent-minded today? Is there something that's bothering you? If that's the case, why don't you tell us? If we can help, we'll definitely help." "Ah, no." Patriarch Qiao smiled and waved his hand, putting down the teacup in his hand. "It's just that I'm preparing to let Inua go on a trip, but thinking about the demonic cultivators running amok outside, I'm a little worried." "Oh, Brother Qiao wants to let Inua go on a trip? That's not it. It's just that there's a problem with a business, and I want him to go over and take care of it." He smiled, looked at them, and asked, "How are your injuries?" "My family's kid isn't seriously injured. It's just some superficial wounds. He'll be fine after some treatment," one of the family heads said with a smile. "Speaking of which, I still have to thank Yulong. If it wasn't for her taking out the ghost doctor's blood-staunching powder to save Yuan Chong, I'm afraid Yuan Chong wouldn't be alive now," the Shi family head said to a family head beside him. The clan head smiled and said, "They all went out together, and they have known each other since young. It's just a bottle of medicine." As he spoke, he continued, "Yulong knew that I was coming, so she asked me to ask about Yuan Chong's injuries. If she hadn't been frightened on the way out, she would have gone to the Shi family to see Yuan Chong today." "Ghost doctor's medicine? Brother Xie has good connections. You can even buy the ghost doctor's medicine." One of the family heads smiled, looked at the Xie family head, and said, "It's said that the ghost doctor's heavenly pill building doesn't have any ordinary medicine. Every bottle is very precious, and there's a limit to how many can be sold." Chapter 25:01. He smiled and looked at your family head. "I didn't expect them to be of use this time." While everyone was chatting, Qiao Inua came to the courtyard with the things he had prepared for Guan Shilin and the others. Seeing that they were drinking tea, he walked up to them. "Brother Guan, Miss Yi, these are the dry rations I prepared for you." He placed the things he had prepared on the table. Seeing this, Guan Shilin smiled and said, "Thank you. You're welcome. It's a small matter." Guan Shilin gestured for Yi Qing to put the things away and stood up. "We're going to leave soon. You don't have to see us off. My father is in the front hall with the other family heads and can't leave. I'll see you out." Qiao Inua said, "What kind of host doesn't see his guests out? It's not polite." He gestured for them to leave. Seeing this, Guan Shilin glanced at Yi Qing. The two of them looked at each other and did not continue to insist, allowing them to be let out. After Qiao Inua saw them off, he returned home and saw his father sending the other family heads out. Are those two the ones who saved you?" Shi family head asked, his gaze falling on the two figures who were already far away. He saw that the man was talking to the woman beside him. He faintly felt that the man was somewhat familiar. "Yes, it's them," Qiao Inua said. "They were in a hurry to leave, so they didn't stay in the residence for long." The other family heads nodded and cupped their hands before taking their leave. Shi family head pondered for a long time before patting his head in realization. "I remember now." He looked at Xiao family head. "Do you think that young master's figure is somewhat familiar? I heard you say that his surname is Guan. I went to 100 River City a year ago and saw him from afar. Isn't that the ghost doctor's sworn brother, Guan Shilin?" Hearing this, Qiao family father and son looked at each other in surprise. Qiao family head asked, "You recognize him? He looks 70 to 80% similar." He said thoughtfully and looked at the Qiao father and son. "You really don't know his identity?" Xiao Ino remained silent while clan head Xiao laughed. Hasn't he already left? Whether I know or not, it's meaningless now. Hearing this, Sure clan head's heart moved. He smiled, that's true. There's no point in talking about this now. Then, he clasped his hands and said, then I'll be leaving too. Goodbye. Patriarch Qiao returned the greeting and watched him leave. Going. You should also make some preparations. We will set off tomorrow. Patriarch Qiao said to his son beside him. Yes. Qiao Inuo replied and followed him into the residence. On the other side, in the Nebula Immortal Sect, Fengjiu and Xianyuan Mose were discussing the demons with the sect master and the various peak masters. After discussing the general situation, the two of them stood up. Then let's do as we discussed. We will probably stay here for a few more days before leaving, Fengjiu said as he looked at the sect master and the others. Hearing this, they also stood up and said, all right, don't worry. I think that the demons will not come out so easily this time. Let's go. Xianyuan Mose held Fengjiu's hand and walked out without even looking at the people behind them. Chapter 25:02. Xianyuan Mose held Fengjiu's hand as they walked down the mountain at a leisurely pace. The two of them admired the scenery on both sides of the path. Xianyuan Mose asked, aren't you going to send the news that Feng Yi is still alive back? Are you going to let the old master and the others know? There's no hurry. We'll give them a surprise when we get back. She smiled as she looked at the field at the foot of the mountain. Several contracted beasts were playing with Feng Yi and the others. She said, they've always thought that Feng Yi is dead. If someone suddenly sends the news back, they probably won't be able to sit still at home. Why don't we wait until we get back and tell them? Since there was nothing else to do here, they could take advantage of this time to go back. Since we're going back, do you want to settle our matter as well? He held her hand as he looked at her with a deep gaze. Settle our matter as well? Fengjiu raised his eyebrows. The corners of his lips curled up as he asked with a smile. Are you in a hurry? Yes, it's very urgent, he said in all seriousness. Fengjiu couldn't help but chuckle. But I don't want to get married yet. The path of cultivation is boundless. We're still young and inexperienced compared to those old freaks. What's the point of getting married so early? If I get pregnant, it'll be difficult for me to walk around outside. She didn't want to be trapped at home at such a young age. She wanted to walk around outside and see the world. When he heard her mention children, Xianyuan Mose's eyes lit up. If we have children, we can let your parents take care of them. We can also let Leng Shuang and the others take care of them. If that doesn't work, even if we have children, I can accompany you to wherever you want to go. We can also bring our children along while we're at it. Haha, no way. She gave him a fake laugh and decisively rejected him. Seeing this, he asked, then when do you plan to marry me? I have to think about it. Anyway, it doesn't have to be so early. We can also get married first. We can have children a few years later. That's fine too. He tried to persuade her. No man would be able to resist hugging such a person every day. I'll go play with Feng Yi. She chuckled. With a tap of her toes, her red figure flashed out from the mountainside like a flame and spun down the mountain. Xianyuan Mo sighed helplessly and couldn't help but shake his head. It seemed that this woman had no intention of marrying the two of them in advance. What should he do? He had to think of a way. Jiao Feng's to Jiao was to Fengjiu Jiao. Feng Yi waved at Fengjiu excitedly. Over the past 2 days, he had become familiar with Fengjiu. Following Fengjiu, his childlike innocence was revealed. It could be said that he had been playing crazily in the sect these 2 days. Is that so? Then you run. I'll catch you. Let's see if you can avoid me. She chuckled and raised her voice to let him run first. What? Aren't you bullying me? I'm so young and my cultivation isn't as high as yours. How can I outrun you? Feng Yi shouted. I won't use my spiritual power or Xianqi. I'll only use my movement technique to chase after you. If you can keep me from catching up, I'll give you something good later. She chuckled. Her red clothes fluttered and she landed on the ground not far from him. Chapter 25:03. I won't cheat. She chuckled. Then you have to let me run first. After I count to 10, you can chase after me. He shouted as he retreated. All right. Feng Jiu let him do as he pleased. Seeing him counting while retreating, Feng Jiu couldn't help but narrow his eyes, and the corners of his lips curled up. 7, 9 is enough. His voice came from afar until it could no longer be heard. Feng Jiu watched as the small figure scurried into the forest behind the sect. Hence, he chased after him. I'm going to, Lao Bai shouted. He kicked his hooves and ran beside Feng Jiu. Swallow the Cloud, Fire Phoenix, and the little white tiger stayed where they were. They lay on the ground and rested lazily with their eyes closed. They did not join in. Xinyuan Mose walked down slowly and sat down at a pavilion below, waiting for Feng Jiu to return. Feng Yi, who was heading to the back of the mountain, used the footwork he had just learned. His small figure shuttled through the forest. From time to time, he would look back to see if Feng Jiu had caught up with him. When he turned back and saw that the red figure was approaching him, he was so scared that he cried out and ran away quickly. In the forest, Feng Jiu chased after him and used leaves as hidden weapons to shoot at Feng Yi. Swoosh! When the leaves flew past Feng Yi, he could not help but turn back and shout, "Why are you using hidden weapons? It's not fair." However, he did not dare to slow down for fear that he would be caught if he slowed down. There's no rule against using hidden weapons. Feng Jiu said leisurely from behind and shot out leaves from time to time. If you can't avoid it and get injured, I won't care. Oh, you're cheating. Little Feng Yi ran. He was not very familiar with the footwork at first, but he gradually became more familiar with it as he chased after Feng Jiu. His speed gradually increased, and he could vaguely speed up while avoiding the hidden weapons behind him. Although he knew that Feng Jiu's hidden weapons were not aimed at his vital points and only brushed past him, he did not want to be looked down upon by her. Hence, he tried his best not to let the hidden weapons touch him at all. As he sped up, he looked behind him and saw that the distance between him and Feng Jiu had shortened again. At this moment, he couldn't help but feel anxious, and a lot of sweat seeped out of his forehead. Feng Jiu followed leisurely from behind. The distance between them was neither too far nor too close. She saw that Feng Ye's footsteps were becoming more and more proficient, so she set up a formation in this area, preparing to test his adaptability. Feng Yi, who was in front, wiped his sweat and looked back. However, he didn't see Feng Jiu behind him. He couldn't help but exclaim and stop. Where did she go? He was still here just now. He looked around. Suddenly, the person who was supposed to be behind him suddenly appeared not far in front of him. He was so frightened that his little heart suddenly jumped. He immediately broke into a run. Feng Jiu smiled and followed behind him. Step by step, she led him into the array she had just set up. Feng Yi, who only cared about running to avoid being caught by Feng Jiu behind him, did not expect that there would be an array on the road he had just walked. Moreover, he was so small and had never learned about arrays. Naturally, he did not know. Chapter 2504. Xiao, Jiu, where are you? Why can't I see you? He looked at the thin smoke that suddenly rose, blurring his vision. He walked forward but did not come out. Instead, he walked around and bumped into the tree from before. This is a formation? He was stunned, his delicate face filled with astonishment. That's right, it's a formation. Feng Jiu's voice came from outside the formation. At this moment, she was leaning against a tree, drinking wine in her hand as she said, "You probably haven't learned about formations, right? Today, I'll teach you about formations. If you can break the formation, come out. If you can't, you can sleep here tonight." But you said that I haven't learned about formations. How can I break it? You were just tricking me into going to the back of the mountain. So you were already prepared. He sat on the ground and pouted, looking around with a pitiful expression. Feng Jiu chuckled and drank a mouthful of wine. All right, stop talking nonsense. Listen carefully to the formation chant. In the forest, Feng Jiu, dressed in red, leaned against a tree with her eyes closed. She held a wine gourd in her hand and drank wine with a relaxed expression. In the formation, the little one memorized the formation chant Feng Jiu taught him and began to deduce the method to break the formation. One of them was idle, while the other was serious. For a moment, They forgot about the people outside. In the evening, Guan Shilin, who had brought Yi Jing to the boundary of the Nebula Immortal Sect, saw that the boundary of the Nebula Immortal Sect was actually protected by a barrier. He could not help but be surprised. Just as he was about to step forward, he saw a few sect disciples with swords in hand landing in front of them. "Who are you? What business do you have here?" The few of them had a fierce aura, and their voices were filled with reprimand. They stared at Guan Shilin and Yi Jing with vigilance. Now that the sect had not been sorted out, they naturally did not want outsiders to come. They did not want to fish in troubled waters and do something that they could not predict. "I'm Guan Shilin. I'm here to see my adopted sister, Fengjiu," Guan Shilin said as his sharp eyes fell on the people in front of him. Hearing Guan Shilin's words, several people were shocked. "You're Guan Shilin?" They couldn't help but exclaim in a low voice. Many pairs of curious eyes fell on him, sizing him up. "Yes," Guan Shilin answered, then looked at them and asked, "Fengjiu should still be in your sect, right?" Yes, she's still here. She hasn't left yet," a disciple answered and stepped forward to open a corner of the enchantment to let Guan Shilin in. "The demons have just left, so the security is a little tight. I hope you don't mind." A disciple cupped his hands and said, "I won't." Guan Shilin returned the salute and led Yi Qing inside. "The ghost doctor is currently in the sect. Young Master Guan, please follow me." One of the disciples personally led the way for the two of them. "Thank you for your trouble." Guan Shilin nodded and followed the disciple into the sect while holding Yi Qing's hand. With the disciple leading the way, the journey was quite peaceful. No one stopped them until they entered the sect. Just as the disciple was about to lead them to where Fengjiu and the others were staying, Guan Shilin, who was following behind them, saw a few contracted beasts lying on the ground in front of them, as well as a few familiar people. "Brother, they're over there. You can go about your business. I'll go over myself," Guan Shilin said, and let the disciple go about his business. Then, he led Yi Qing towards Bai Xiao and the others. Chapter 25:05. Brother Guan is back. "Brother Guan," Ning Lang and the others called out as they strode towards him. Fire Phoenix and Tunyon glanced at Guan Shilin, only to hear Fire Phoenix say, "I'm going to get Master." Then it flapped its wings and left. "Brother Guan, you're back. Fengjiu has been worried about you." When Ning Lang saw him, a happy smile appeared on his face. He looked at the elegant woman in white beside him and asked curiously, "Brother Guan, who is this?" Guan Shilin patted him on the shoulder and smiled. "I'm back. I was delayed on the way back, so I thought Xiao Jiu would be waiting for me here, so I came here directly." As he spoke, his voice paused, and he turned to Yi Qing and said to them, Come, let me introduce all of you. This is..." Before he could finish speaking, Senior White scuttled over. "Beauty Yi, Lao Bai missed you so much." Lao Bai ran over and stretched out his head to rub against Yi Qing's face, but was blocked by Guan Shilin. "Lao Bai, move aside," Guan Shilin said as he shielded the smiling Yi Qing by his side. He then said to the others, "She's Yi Qing, Xiao Jiu's friend, and also my fiancé." "Fiancé? When did you get engaged to Beauty Yi?" Lao Bai exclaimed with wide eyes, looking incredulous. Song Ming and the others were also slightly surprised. After all, they had never heard him mention having a fiancé or someone he liked. However, seeing that this woman called Yi Qing had a good appearance and bearing and was quite compatible with Guan Shilin, they all smiled. "You've hidden it well. If you hadn't told us, we wouldn't have known. When you get married in the future, remember to invite us to your wedding banquet." "Ha ha ha, of course." He laughed and looked around, asking, "Why are there only the few of you here? Where's Xiao Jiu?" "Oh, she chased Feng Yi to the back of the mountain," Ning Lang said. He looked at him and said, "You don't know, but Feng Yi and Zhao Yang are still alive." "They're still alive?" Guan Shilin was stunned. He grabbed Ning Lang's hand excitedly. "Is that true?" The few of them smiled and said, "It's true. They're still alive. They were saved by someone, but they've been cultivating in the mountains all this time. That's why we didn't know that they were still alive." Hearing this, Guan Shilin couldn't hide his surprise. That's great. If his foster father and grandfather knew about this, they would definitely be overjoyed. By the way, did Xiao Jiu send someone to inform them about this? I heard from Feng Jiu that when you come over, we will go back to the Heavenly Pill building together and arrange the matters here. Therefore, I didn't tell them about this matter, in case they can't sit still and rush over. Song Ming said with a smile. Since you're all here, have a good rest today. Tomorrow, we'll set off for the Heavenly Pill building. Xinyuan Mose walked over with his hands behind his back. His gaze swept over Guan Shilin and Yi Qing, then fell on Guan Shilin. It seems that your strength has increased again. How can your strength not increase when you're locked in a place like the demons? He smiled and said, I heard that you were back on the way. Fortunately, you came back. Otherwise, Xiao Jiu might have been in danger when she fought with the demon master. Chapter 2506. Ha ha ha. It's rare to hear a compliment from you. Guan Shilin laughed as they chatted. Not long after, Feng Jiu, dressed in red, came back with little Feng Yi. Brother. Feng Jiu waved at him from afar. Feng Yi followed behind her. When he saw the muscular man with a long saber in his hand, he couldn't help but blink as he thought of him. Although they didn't see each other often, he recognized him. However, he didn't recognize the woman beside him. Xiao Jiu. Guan Shilin smiled as he watched her walk over quickly. Yi Qing? Why are you here? Feng Jiu was a little surprised as she looked at Yi Qing standing beside her brother. She didn't expect her to be here. Wasn't she in the lower continents? When did she come? I came to look for you. I ran into some trouble on the way. Then I met him, so we came together. Yi Qing said as she stepped forward to hold Feng Jiu's hand. We haven't seen each other in a long time. Yes, we haven't seen each other in a long time. Now that you're back, don't leave. She smiled as she held her hand. I was waiting for my brother, but I didn't expect him to bring you along. That's great. Master, when did Beauty Yi become your brother's fiancée? Lao Bai asked faintly from the side. Hearing this, Feng Jiu raised her eyebrows and looked at Guan Shilin. When we get back, we'll go to the Yi family to send the betrothal gifts. Guan Shilin said as he looked at Feng Yi and asked with a smile, Little Feng Yi, do you still remember me? I remember. Feng Yi nodded with a distressed expression. But what should I call you? Guan Shilin was startled when he heard this. Then he smiled and said, Although you're young, your seniority is high. Just call me by my name. Don't just stand here. Let's go. Let's go back and talk. You must be tired from the long journey. I'll get someone to prepare some food and arrange a place for you to rest. Have a good rest today, Ning Lang said, and told them to follow him while he went ahead to make arrangements. On this day, due to the arrival of Guan Shilin and Yi Qing, they set up a few tables outside the cave residence, prepared some food and wine, and chatted while eating. It wasn't until late at night that they dispersed. The next day, after Feng Jiu bid farewell to Han Yuan Zi, she prepared to leave with Xinyuan Mose and the others. What she did not expect was that Ning Lang, Song Ming, and the others also said that they wanted to go to the Heavenly Pill building with her. Thus, the return journey became even more lively because of their participation. The sect leader and the various peak masters came out to see them off. Only after watching them leave did they return. The people sitting on the airship were drinking and chatting. Looking at the direction they were flying, Guan Shilin asked, This doesn't seem to be the direction to 100 River City. Where are we going? I want to go to Wudong Mountain to thank Feng Ye's master first, and bring Feng Yi and Zhao Yang back. The two of them sneaked down the mountain this time, so I have to go back and let them know. Feng Jiu said and glanced at Feng Yi and Zhao Yang. She saw the former sitting at a small table, eating with his mouth stuffed like a little squirrel stealing food. She couldn't help but shake her head and laugh. The latter was sitting cross-legged in a corner of the airship, cultivating, as if he didn't hear the laughter and only focused on cultivating. Chapter 2507. He was young and did not have the liveliness that people his age should have, which made her heart ache. Until now, she still remembered the situation when she first met him. This child was young, but had experienced so many things. If she could, she really hoped that she could protect them and let them grow up without worries. Zhao Yang, who was cultivating with his eyes closed, heard Fengjiu's voice and opened his eyes to look at her. Sister Feng, come over and eat something. Don't cultivate all day. Come. She waved at him and motioned for him to come over. Hearing this, Zhao Yang paused for a moment, then stood up and walked towards her. Fengjiu took some small spiritual fruits and placed them in his hand. Try this fruit and see if it's sweet. Thank you, Sister Feng. He sat down beside her and picked up a fruit to eat. Yang, you're still young. Now that your strength has reached the golden core stage, many people can't compare to you. You don't know, but Ning Lang and the others didn't have your cultivation when they were your age. She glanced at Ning Lang and the others. Hearing this, Ning Lang smiled and his eyes narrowed into a line. That's right. When we met you, our strength wasn't high either. When we were Yang Yang's age, we didn't have his strength and cultivation. However, our ability to cause trouble is top-notch. Otherwise, why would the Academy invite you to teach us? Everyone laughed and talked about what happened back then. Feng Yi, who was beside them, was curious and also asked. Just like that, they chatted and laughed all the way until they arrived at Wudong Mountain. We can't fly in the mountain. We have to walk up, Feng Yi said, and asked Fengjiu to stop the flying ship. Thus, Feng Yi stopped the flying ship at the foot of the mountain. The group followed Feng Yi and Zhao Yang into the mountain. However, halfway through, an old man came forward. Honored guests, please excuse my impoliteness. The old man bowed to Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu. He looked at the two of them and said, I'm the steward under Heavenly Void Tao Lord. He knew that honored guests were coming and specially ordered me to come and welcome you. Everyone, please. After making a gesture of invitation, he glanced at Feng Yi and Zhao Yang. As soon as Feng Yi saw him, he couldn't help but smile awkwardly as he hid behind Fengjiu. Seeing this, Fengjiu glanced at Feng Yi, who was hiding behind her, and nodded at Xianyuan Mose before following the old man into the mountains. After entering the mountain, Feng Yi behaved himself. Especially after the old man led the way, he obediently followed beside Fengjiu. However, after walking for a while and getting closer to the palace in the mountain, he slowed down and came to Zhao Yang's side. He asked worriedly, Yang, do you think Master will be angry with us? I don't know, Zhao Yang said with a calm face. Then what do you think we should do if Master is angry with us? Master told us not to go down the mountain, but we still sneaked down the mountain. We even brought Xiaojiu here. I'm worried that Master will be angry. He was a little worried. After all, he knew that Master treated them very well. However, this time, they disobeyed him and sneaked down the mountain. Zhao Yang looked ahead and said, Sister Feng is here. Even if Master is angry, he should not be calculated with us for her sake. Chapter 25:08. Zhao Yang responded and followed behind quietly. They went all the way to the palace on the mountain. The Tao Lord is waiting for you inside. Please come in, the old man said and invited them in. Xianyuan Mose held Fengjiu's hand and stepped over the threshold. The people behind them followed. Feng Yi and Zhao Yang walked at the back. After seeing them enter, Feng Yi bowed to the old man embarrassedly. Uncle Lu, we're back. Although the old man was a steward, there weren't many people here. Other than the two of them, there were only Steward Lu and a few disciples who did odd jobs. Uncle Lu usually took care of them, so they were quite close to him. However, they felt a little guilty when they saw him this time. When they sneaked down the mountain, they had drugged Uncle Lu before sneaking down the mountain. Go in. Your master is waiting for you inside. Elder Lu glanced at the two of them angrily and motioned for them to go in. Seeing the two boys return safely, he heaved a sigh of relief. These two brats didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. They dared to leave the mountain at such a young age. They even took advantage of the chaos caused by the demons to leave the mountain. They made him worry on the mountain for a long time. Now that he saw them return, he was finally relieved. Uncle Lu, we brought back some good wine for you. We'll send it to you later. Feng Yixiao squinted his eyes and said fawningly. Then he took Zhao Yang and walked inside together. Little brats. The old man shook his head and scolded with a smile. He followed them in, but he didn't get close. He just stood at the back and waited. In front, after Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu walked in, their eyes fell on the old man on the main seat. They couldn't help but nod inwardly when they saw his peaceful aura and restrained cultivation. So this person was Heavenly Void Tao Lord. His aura was peaceful. Feng Yi and Zhao Yang acknowledged him as their master. It was a good thing. Fengjiu greets Heavenly Void Tao Lord. She stepped forward and bowed in a respectful and natural manner. Greetings, Heavenly Void Tao Lord. Guan Shilin and the others also bowed. Only Xianyuan Mose stood at the side with his hands behind his back. He didn't bow like them. Heavenly Void Tao Lord glanced at Fengjiu and then at the man in a black robe, standing with his hands behind his back. He nodded secretly. He stopped sizing them up and said to everyone, "No need to be so polite. Everyone, please sit. Disciple greets master." Feng Yi and Zhao Yang stepped forward and bowed respectfully to the old man in the main seat. The two little ones knelt on the ground with their foreheads touching the ground. After kowtowing, they raised their heads to look at the old man. Their childish voices were filled with joy and anxiety. "Rascal." The two of them kowtowed again. "Master, we know we were wrong." Fengjiu only smiled when he saw this. After they finished apologizing, he looked at the Tao Lord and said, "Tao Lord, Feng Yi is my uncle. Do you know?" Heavenly Void Tao Lord stroked his beard and nodded. "I know." Chapter 2509. Just as she was about to bow solemnly again, the Tao Lord waved his hand to stop her. "Wait." Heavenly Void Tao Lord looked at Fengjiu and said, "Ghost Doctor, the two of them are my disciples. They disobeyed their master and left the mountain on their own accord. Although they came back to admit their mistakes, they should be punished. I will punish them later. As for your gratitude, I know why you are thanking me, but I don't need your thanks." He stood up and slowly walked forward, saying, "This old man is fated to be their master and disciple. Back then, I saved them precisely because of this fate. Therefore, no matter who they are, since we are fated to be master and disciple, this old man will naturally save them when they are in danger. Even if you are their family, there is no need for you to thank this old man." Hearing this, Fengjiu was a little surprised. She looked deeply at Heavenly Void Tao Lord and smiled. Since Tao Lord says so, Fengjiu will obey. She took a few steps back and returned to her seat. Heavenly Void Tao Lord turned around and looked at the two people kneeling on the ground. "The two of you disobeyed my orders and left the mountain on your own accord. Tell me, do you deserve to be punished?" Feng Yi blinked at his master and pursed his lips. "Master, do you really want to punish the two of us? Speak, do you deserve to be punished?" Heavenly Void Tao Lord asked in a deep voice. Seeing his master's stern expression, Feng Yi shrank back and lowered his head. He said together with Zhao Yang, "We deserve to be punished." Before he finished, he added, "Although we deserve to be punished, Master, please be lenient." Hearing this, the people sitting on both sides almost could not help but laugh out loud. Even Fengjiu could not help but find it funny. As for Xianyuan Mose, he glanced at Feng Yi and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Hearing Feng Ye's words, Heavenly Void Tao Lord's eyebrows twitched. He stroked his beard and glanced at him. "I will punish the two of you to cultivate in Wudong Mountain for 10 years. During these 10 years, you are not allowed to leave the mountain." Not allowed to leave the mountain for 10 years. "Master." Feng Yi wanted to say something, but when he saw his master glaring at him, he could not say anything else. Fengjiu was slightly surprised when she heard this. She looked at Tao Lord Heavenly Void and said, "Tao Lord, we came here because we have something to tell you." "What is it?" Tao Lord Heavenly Void asked as his gaze landed on Fengjiu. "Back then, Feng Yi and Zhao Yang were dead. Because of this, my family, especially my grandfather, he was." And, as she spoke, she stood up and said, "I was pleasantly surprised to see Feng Yi this time. So, I specially came to thank you, Dalor, for saving my life all those years ago. Secondly, I want to bring the two of them home and let them meet their family. Hearing this, Heavenly Void Tao Lord said to the old man waiting behind, Elder Lu, take the two of them down. Yes, the old man replied, and gestured for Feng Yi and Zhao Yang to follow him. The two of them stood up and glanced at Feng Jiu before leaving with the old man. Feng Jiu looked at the two of them leaving. Her heart skipped a beat as she looked at Heavenly Void Tao Lord. Heavenly Void Tao Lord watched as Feng Yi and Zhao Yang left the hall with the old man. After they disappeared from his sight, he looked at Feng Jiu and asked slowly, Do you know why they are fated to be my master and disciple? Why was I the one who saved them back then? Chapter 25:10. Feng Ye's relationship with his parents is thin. If he stays by his parents' side, it will be very difficult for him to live to 15 or 16 years old. As for Zhao Yang, I think his family is already gone. As Heavenly Void Tao Lord spoke, he looked at Feng Jiu's frown and continued, The two of them have yet to finish their relationship with my master. They shouldn't have left the mountain at this time, let alone you want to bring them home. Hearing this, Feng Jiu was slightly surprised. Tao Lord, are you saying that if they stay by their parents' side, it's very likely that they won't live to 15 or 16 years old? That's right. Heavenly Void Tao Lord stroked his beard and replied. Hearing this, she glanced at Xianyuan Mose in disbelief. When Guan Shalin and the others heard this, they could not help but have solemn expressions. This time, we'll bring the two of them back. We'll be responsible for looking after them and not letting them be in any danger. As Xianyuan Mose spoke, he looked at Heavenly Void Tao Lord with a deep gaze. After they meet their family, we'll bring them back and hand them over to you. I think there shouldn't be any problems this way. Feng Jiu continued and said to Heavenly Void Tao Lord, Tao Lord, we'll bring them back to see their family. When the time comes, we'll send them back. Don't worry, with our protection, they'll definitely be fine. After they meet their family, let them cultivate by your side. My grandfather and the others won't object. Seeing this, Heavenly Void Tao Lord glanced at the two of them. He stroked his beard and walked slowly. After a long while, he said, Since you've already said so, then bring them down the mountain. However, after sending them back in the future, they're not allowed to leave the mountain again. You're not allowed to come up the mountain to see them either. Knowing that they're cultivating here and that it's very safe, we naturally won't distract them. Don't worry, Tao Lord, Feng Jiu said with a smile. Heavenly Void Tao Lord nodded and said to them, Everyone, rest here tonight. I'll get someone to make the arrangements for you. As he spoke, he called out with a powerful voice, and two odd job disciples came in. Greetings, Tao Lord. The two of them bowed. Take the guests to rest, he said slowly. Yes. The two menial disciples responded respectfully and gestured for Feng Jiu and the rest to leave. Feng Jiu and the rest bowed to Heavenly Void Tao Lord before leaving with the two disciples. Watching them leave, Heavenly Void Tao Lord muttered, So this is the Emperor and the Phoenix Master. They are indeed dragons and phoenixes among men. In the middle of the mountain, Feng Yi took out the wine from his spatial ring and handed it to the old man. Uncle Lu, look, I bought these for you. They're all good wine. The old man took it, and a smile finally appeared on his tense face. He patted their heads and said, Don't think that I won't bicker with you two just because you brought me wine. I've been taking care of you all this time, but you two actually schemed against me and made me worry about you. Hee hee, Uncle Lu, we know you're the best. That's why I specially brought something good for my niece. Look, this is something good for you. He took out a pill bottle from his space and handed it to him. Chapter 25:11. Hearing this, the old man was slightly surprised. This is the ghost doctor's pill? Even he, who lived in the depths of Wudong Mountain, had heard of the ghost doctor's name. Naturally, he knew that her pills all had nature-defying effects, and each pill was extremely precious. He didn't expect these two children to actually obtain a pill to treat internal injuries for him. Yes, Yes, this is the pill that my niece refined. Take a look at it. It's a level 6 healing pill. There are 6 pill patterns on it. Feng Yi nodded with a smile. Elder Lu took out the pill suspiciously. Sure enough, there were 6 pill patterns floating on the pill. Moreover, judging from the pill's grade, it was actually a level 6 pill. This is too precious. How can I take it? He put the pill back into the bottle and stuffed it back to him. You can keep it for yourself. This pill is too precious. I don't deserve it. I can't accept such a precious thing. Uncle Lu, it's useless even if you give it to me. I don't need it. Feng Yi pushed the bottle back to him and said, I told Xiao Jiao. I told her that Uncle Lu has always taken care of Yang Yang and me. I also told her that Uncle Lu has an old injury, so she gave me this. She said that as long as Uncle Lu takes this pill, his internal injuries will slowly recover. But this pill, although he was moved, he also knew how precious this pill was. Uncle Lu, take it, Feng Yi said with a smile. After stuffing the pill to him, he jumped away. Uncle Lu, let me tell you, this time we went out, we encountered danger several times. Fortunately, we're fine. Uncle Lu, you don't know, but there's so many fun things outside. There are also many things on the streets of the market. There are many things that we don't have on the mountain. He happily told him about everything that had happened outside. When Elder Lu saw this, he looked at the 2 children before putting the pill away. He smiled and said, You two are also bold. Your master clearly told you not to go down the mountain, but you sneaked out. Fortunately, you came back safely. Uncle Lu, we still have to go. Xiao Jiao wants to bring me home to see my father and mother. Uncle Lu, I haven't seen my father and mother for a long time. I miss them so much. I want to go back and see them, Feng Yi said while jumping in the courtyard. He ran into his room, circled around, and ran out again. Uncle Lu, my room is so clean. Did you ask them to clean it for us when we were not in the mountains? He asked the old man with a smile. Oh, you still want to leave? So you're saying that you're going back with the ghost doctor to see your parents? The old man asked in surprise. He didn't expect them to leave after coming back. Yes, Sister Feng said she would bring us back. Zhao Yang, who was at the side, said. He saw Feng Yi tiptoeing and jumping onto a tree branch. He started to climb up and play. Uncle Lu, my niece is very powerful. In the future, I want to become someone as powerful as her, Feng Yi said from the tree. Suddenly, he looked outside and saw a group of people coming up. He quickly jumped down from the tree. Xiao Jiao and Jiao are here. As he said this, he ran out. Xianyuan Mose held Feng Jiao's hand and walked slowly. The people behind them were walking and chatting. When they saw Feng Yi running in front of them, they stopped. Chapter 25:12. Xianyuan Mose raised his eyebrows, but didn't say anything. He just let go of Feng Jiao's hand and let her follow Feng Yi. Feng Jiao smiled and glanced at Xianyuan Mose before following Feng Yi. That's fine. Since your master doesn't agree to let you go down the mountain with us, we'll take a look at where you're staying. You can cultivate here in the future. Feng Yi's little face stiffened when he heard this. He turned around in shock and said anxiously, Master doesn't agree to let me go home with you? How can that be? Then what about Yang Yang and I? We want to go back too. It's fine. You can cultivate here. I'll tell Grandpa that you're still alive. I think that as long as he knows that you're still alive, it's fine even if he doesn't see you. She held back her laughter and teased him seriously. No, we want to go back too. He hugged her thigh as if he was afraid of being left behind. Brat, let go of your hand. Xianyuan Mo stepped forward and lifted him up by his collar. I'm not a brat. I'm an elder, Feng Yi said, but when he saw Xianyuan Mo's faint smile, he immediately withered and could only mutter softly, That's right. Xiao Jiao has to call me little uncle according to seniority. If you marry her, you'll be younger than me. Is that so? Xianyuan Mose glanced at him coldly, then shifted his gaze from his face to his small hands that were still hugging Feng Jiao's thigh. Xianyuan Mose narrowed his deep eyes, and a dangerous glint flashed across his eyes. Seeing this, Feng Yi retracted his hands and automatically withdrew them. He looked at Feng Jiao with a pair of innocent eyes and said pitifully, Xiao Jiao, you won't really abandon me and Yang Yang, right? Hearing this, Fengjiu chuckled and reached out to pat his head. I'm just teasing you. Don't worry, your master has already agreed to let you and Yang Yang go down the mountain with us. However, after you go home, you have to come back here to cultivate. Great. He immediately smiled happily. He felt the pair of hands behind him still grabbing his collar. He couldn't help but raise his head and look at Xianyuan Mose with a fawning look. When Xianyuan Mose saw this, he loosened his grip and let him down. Greetings, everyone. Elder Lu came before them and bowed. Then, his gaze landed on Fengjiu. He said, "Thank you for the pill, Ghost Doctor." Hearing this, Fengjiu smiled and said, "It was Feng Yi and Yang Yang who asked for the pill for Elder Lu, so there's no need to thank me." Elder Lu glanced at Feng Yi and Zhao Yang, then said to Fengjiu and the others, "Do you need me to take you to rest? Uncle Lu, you can go back first. Yang Yang, and I will entertain them." With Feng Yi and Yang Yang here, Elder Lu can go back first. Fengjiu also said with a smile. Hearing this, the old man nodded and retreated. On this day, Feng Yi and Zhao Yang brought them around for a while, then brought them to the guest room to rest. Heavenly Void Taoist Lord also did not go out after giving them instructions. After resting for a night, they wanted to say goodbye to Heavenly Void Taoist Lord, but they heard from Elder Lu that Heavenly Void Taoist Lord was already in closed-door cultivation. Therefore, they took a flying ship and left, heading to Hunter River City's Heavenly Pill Dispensary. Chapter 25:13. When they saw the people walking down from the flying ship, the people outside the city who were curiously watching and discussing happily said, "So it's the Ghost Doctor. The Ghost Doctor is back." The news quickly spread. When the people from the various large clans in the city heard that Fengjiu had returned, they rushed out to welcome him. They had already heard about the battle between the Ghost Doctor and the Devil Lord. Now that the Ghost Doctor had returned, they naturally had to go and welcome him. However, the news spread quickly, but the Phoenix Guards in the city's Heavenly Pill Dispensary were even faster. They arrived outside the city to welcome Fengjiu and the others. In addition to the Phoenix Guards, there were also Tsongqing and other powerful cultivators. They were all dressed in black, and Tsongqing led the team to stand side by side. The team lined up from outside the city gate to the front of the Heavenly Pill Dispensary building. "Welcome, Master!" The deep voice was loud and clear, and every voice carried the pressure of a powerful cultivator. Almost as soon as the voice came out, the entire sky of Hundred Rivers City reverberated with a respectful and loud voice. It was also this uniform and loud voice that let everyone in and out of Hundred Rivers City know that the Ghost Doctor had returned. Even if the people from the various large clans wanted to get close to him, they couldn't squeeze forward. After all, with such a powerful team clearing the way and isolating them, how could the others squeeze forward under such circumstances without Fengjiu's permission? After putting away the flying ship, Fengjiu was led by Xianyuan Mose, and the two of them walked at the front. Behind her were Guan Shilin, Yi Qing, Feng Yi, and Zhao Yang, followed by Ning Lang and the others. Ever since Bai Xiao became proficient in controlling beasts, Fengjiu didn't call for him to appear, and he also rarely appeared to help. This time, it could be said that he was following behind her, which was why when he saw this lineup, he couldn't help but be tongue-tied. He knew that Fengjiu was doing well here, but he didn't know that it was so extraordinary. Just look at the people who came out to welcome her when she arrived in Hunter River City. Unbelievable. Yi Qing hadn't expected to see so many experts the moment she arrived. Under the pressure of so many experts, she couldn't help but feel a little nervous. As a result, she tightened her grip on Guan Shilin's hand. As if sensing her nervousness, Guan Shilin gently patted her hand and whispered, "Relax, these are our people." "And," she replied. She took a deep breath and exhaled slowly, trying her best to calm her emotions. She couldn't be blamed for this. Her strength could be considered the lowest among these people. With so many experts appearing at the same time, their imposing manner was shocking. It would be strange if she could remain calm. As they gradually approached the Heavenly Dan building, The cultivators behind them also followed closely behind them. Their footsteps were neat and orderly, and the team was well trained. Seeing this, the eyes of the people from the clans lit up, and their hearts were filled with excitement. How great would it be if such a powerful team belonged to their family? If they had such a team, their family would probably defy the heavens. However, with so many powerhouses and so many powerful cultivators serving Fengjiu alone, they couldn't help but feel envious. Chapter 25:14. At the Heavenly Pill Dispensary, the people who knew that their master had returned also came out to welcome him. They were led by Du Fan and Leng Hua, standing in front of the building to welcome him. When they saw the black figure and the dazzling red figure in the lead of the group, they couldn't help but smile. "Look, my master is back too," Hui Lang said excitedly, standing in front of the Heavenly Pill Dispensary with Ing Yi. However, when they saw that their master, whom they hadn't seen for a long time, had also returned, they couldn't help but be excited. When they learned that their master had returned from the outer sea and defeated the Devil Lord in the battle, they had been looking forward to their return. He stood quietly. Although there was no expression on his face, the joy surging in his eyes still let people know that he was also happy and excited at this time. Master, Leng Hua, Du Fan, Feng Wei, and the others respectfully bowed to Fengjiu. Fengjiu looked at them and said with a smile, "Who arranged this array?" As soon as we came back, they actually made such a big scene, as if they were afraid that others wouldn't know that we were back. "Master, I arranged it," Song Qing said. Song Qing said from the side. He looked at her and said, "The people of this continent all know that Master and Yin Zhu defeated the Devil Lord. They all want to see the two of you, so when I heard the news of Master's return, I had them prepare to welcome you." "All right, let them all disperse." Fengjiu, who had entered the Heavenly Pill Dispensary, waved his hand and said to Song Qing, "Yes." He responded and made a gesture. The cultivators outside jumped up and went to the clouds in the sky, leaving only a few cultivators to guard the surroundings of the Heavenly Pill Dispensary. "Little Feng Yi, Yang, since it's your first time here, let Leng Hua show you around." Fengjiu gestured for the two of them to come forward. He then said to Leng Hua, "Show them around, then bring them to the main street. See if they need anything. Get them something." When Leng Hua saw Feng Yi and Zhao Yang, he was obviously startled. "Aren't you? We're still alive," Feng Yi said with a smile. He pulled Leng Hua and said, "Let's go. Take us to the Heavenly Pill Building. I want to know if there are really a lot of precious pills in this building." He was familiar with Leng Hua. Although he was still young at that time, he still had an impression of him, so he was not unfamiliar with him. After calling Leng Hua, Zhao Yang followed him to the second floor and answered some of his questions. "Master, please have some tea." After Bai Qingsheng served tea to Fengjiu, she also served tea to everyone else. Then, she quietly retreated. Du Fan looked at Guan Shilin, who was sitting and drinking tea, and said with a smile, "Shilin, I didn't expect you to come back with Master and the others. Since you disappeared, we have been looking for you everywhere, but we couldn't find your whereabouts. It wasn't until we heard that you were captured by the demons that we heard news of you. However, we were really worried for you when you entered that place. If we didn't hear that you escaped from the demons, Master would have led us to attack the demons' territory." Hearing this, Guan Shilin smiled and said, "I also didn't expect to be captured by the demons. Fortunately, I escaped in the end." "Yes, returning safely is more important than anything else," Du Fan said with a smile. "Where's my son?" Fengjiu glanced around, but didn't see Leng Hua or her son. Chapter 25:15. When Guan Shilin and the others heard Fengjiu's words, they were stunned and did not react for a long time. Her son? When did she have a son? Why didn't they know about it? In an instant, all eyes were on Xianyuan Mo's. Xianyuan Moza's hand gently tapped on the table, making a soft knocking sound. He looked deeply at Fengjiu and asked in a teasing tone, "When did you have a son? I didn't know about it." The moment she said that, she looked at the expressions on everyone's faces and knew that they had misunderstood. When she heard Xianyuan Mo's words, she looked at him and saw that his expression was normal. There was a hint of mockery in his tone. Her eyes flickered and she smiled. I just had a baby recently. It's a chubby boy. I forgot to tell you. The others were stunned. They looked at Xianyuan Mo's and then at Fengjiu. They seemed to be trying to figure out the meaning of Fengjiu's words. Xianyuan Mo's lips curled up slightly. He looked at her and said, "Ah, Gio, I didn't know you wanted a child so much. Since it's like this, let's go back this time and get married." The corners of Fengjiu's mouth twitched. Why did they talk about this again? Why didn't this guy look incredulous when he heard that she suddenly had a son? Or did he ask her loudly how she had a son? Or did he know that she could not give birth to anyone else's child other than him? Therefore, he knew that this child had nothing to do with them. As expected, it was born to deal with smart people. They knew what you were up to the moment you moved your tail. She cupped her cheek with one hand and glanced at the others. Some time ago, when I went out with the old man, I picked up a child. I saw that he was white and chubby and was very cute, so I brought him back. As she said that, she smiled and looked at Xianyuan Mo's. "Oh yes, I named my son Xianyuan Hao." Xianyuan Hao. When Xianyuan Mo's heard the name, he couldn't help but smile. "I didn't expect that I would have a son before I got married. That child is very cute. I think you'll like her too," Fengjiu said, then looked at Du Fan. "Is it because Lung Shuang didn't come? In the Feng manner?" "Yes, she didn't inform Lung Shuang to come over, so she brought the little master with her," Du Fan said with a smile. Seeing that everyone was shocked, he couldn't help but find it funny. Fengjiu nodded and said, "Since that's the case, let's return to the residence first. Yes, I also want to see what kind of person this child of yours is like." Xianyuan Mo stood up and said. Seeing this, Fengjiu smiled and said to Du Fan, "Take care of things here. Go call Lung Hua down. Have Feng Yi and Yang Yang come back with us." "Yes." Du Fan complied and left first. They chatted for a bit before getting up as well. After Lung Hua and the others came down, the group headed towards the Feng manor. Hearing that their master had returned, Lung Shuang did not leave the manor, but he waited the entire time. Zhou Junyu accompanied his younger brother, Jun Yang, as they walked around in the courtyard. Ever since Fengjiu had treated him, in addition to this period of rehabilitation, he could now stand up and walk while trembling. However, he could not walk for too long. "Brother, I heard that elder sister Feng has returned." Zhou Junyang looked at his older brother, who was supporting him. Chapter 25:16. He helped him to the wheelchair and said, "Sit for a while first. Don't walk for too long." "Brother, my legs might be able to walk on their own after a while." Speaking of this, he could not hide his joy. "When big sister Feng comes back, brother, push me to see her." "Okay," Zhou Junyu replied. In front, Fengjiu led Xianyuan Mo's into the manor. Guan Shilin and the others also came to the Feng manor. Hui Lang went back to the Ling manor first. Only Ying Yi followed behind Xianyuan Mo's. "Master, Yama Lord." Lung Shuang came out to greet them. "Lung Shuang, quickly bring my son out for them to see," Fengjiu said with a smile and indicated for her to bring the child over. "Yes," Lung Shuang replied and returned to the courtyard. Everyone went to the front yard and sat down to chat. Not long after, Lung Shuang came in with the child. Fengjiu took the child and played with the little guy in her arms. "Little How Mother is back. Come meet your father." She smiled and brought the child to Xianyuan Mo's side. "Take a look." Xianyuan Mo's saw the love between her brows and couldn't help but be curious about the child. Seeing her bring the child over, he took a look. He saw that the child was a small ball, but he was white and chubby. He was very cute. Although he was a baby, his facial features were very outstanding. He really does look quite good." He reached out and patted the child's head. Let me see. Ning Lang and the others all came over. He really is very cute. This child is so young, and his facial features are so outstanding. He will definitely be a handsome man in the future. "Hey Qing, get him a hug." Guan Shilin took the child from Fengjiu's arms and handed it to Yi Qing. He smiled and said, "When we get married, we'll also have a few fat boys like this." Hearing these words in front of so many people, Yi Qing couldn't help but blush. She glared at him. "What nonsense are you talking about?" "Ha ha, I'm not talking nonsense." Guan Shilin laughed heartily. Where? Where? I want to see it too. I want to see it too." Little Feng Yi, who was small and short, was squeezed outside by the crowd. He couldn't see the child at all, so he pushed his way through the crowd and shouted, "I want to see too, I want to see too." "Good, good, good, you come and see." Feng Jiu chuckled and reached out to pick him up. Feng Yi didn't expect her to carry him. For a moment, he was a little embarrassed. His delicate little face blushed. "I'm a man and an elder. How can I let you carry me?" Xiao Jio let me down. With so many people around, he felt embarrassed. "You're embarrassed? What's wrong with me carrying you? Even a little guy like you knows how to be embarrassed?" Feng Jiu teased. She didn't let him down and held him in her arms. She smiled and said, "When you were as young as Hao I carried you and even kissed you. I've even seen you naked." "Ah, that's because I'm young." It's different. When she heard that she had seen him naked before, she was so embarrassed that she covered her blushing face with her little hands. He knew that he was delivered by Xiao Jio. It was said that his mother had a difficult birth and almost lost both her and her child. If it weren't for Xiao Jio, he and his mother wouldn't have survived. Chapter 25:17. Feng Yi removed the little hand covering his face and looked to the child. Seeing that the little guy was even smaller than him and was blinking at him, he couldn't help but feel moved. He reached out his little hand and carefully poked the baby's little face. "He's so small, even smaller than me." He looked at the baby curiously. However, just as he was about to poke him again, he saw the baby cry loudly. The baby's cries were extremely loud and gave him a fright. "I only poked him very gently." "Really?" Little Feng Yi hurriedly said, afraid that they would think that he had poked him too hard and made him cry. Feng Jiu chuckled and put him down. He reached out and pinched his nose. "I know. He just doesn't like others touching his little face. He cries when touched." "Ah, is that so? You scare me to death." Little Feng Yi exhaled softly and patted his chest as he spoke. His appearance made everyone chuckle. "Come, let me carry him." Feng Jiu took the child from Yi Qing's arms and said to them, "I'm planning to bring Hao back with me this time. I'll stay by his side and teach him personally in the future." "Then what about the child's family? Are they all gone? Did you ask anyone to investigate his background?" Song Ming asked. Although it wasn't a big deal for Feng Jiu to adopt a child, what if the child still had relatives? Would they be sad and anxious because he was gone? Feng Jiu carried the child to the table and sat down. He said to them, "You don't know this, but this child's background is a little mysterious and his origins might be a little complicated. Although I said that I picked him up, I actually saved this child under the knife back then." Hearing this, everyone was slightly surprised and couldn't help but look at each other. They didn't expect there to be such a layer. "After I came back, I asked someone to investigate, but they couldn't find anything." She lowered her head and played with the child in her arms. "So I think that Hao Er's identity shouldn't be simple. For now, I'll keep him by my side. Perhaps one day in the future, before Hao Er grows up, his family will come knocking on our door." Hearing this, Ning Lang asked, "Then, if his family comes knocking on our door in the future, you'll return the child to them?" "Yes, if he can reunite with his family. Of course we should let him reunite with his family," she said matter-of-factly. "But won't you be reluctant? After all, he's raised by your side. If he leaves in the future, won't you be sad?" Ning Lang couldn't understand her thoughts, but he could tell that Feng Jiu liked this child very much. "Even if I'm reluctant, I have to let him go home and find his family." She smiled. "Besides, it's not like he doesn't recognize us when he comes home. These are two different things. There's no conflict." Everyone chatted in the courtyard. After a while, Guan Shilin said, "We didn't rest much on the way here. Since we're home, we'll go rest first. If there's anything else, we'll talk about it tomorrow." With that, he took Yi Qing's hand and left. Seeing this, Feng Jiu jokingly asked the two of them as they left, Brother, do you need me to get Lung Shuang to arrange another courtyard for Yi Qing? Won't it be too crowded if the two of you stay in the same courtyard? Hearing this, Ning Lang and the others couldn't help but laugh. Yi Qing turned around with a red face. Audio. Chapter 25:18. All right, we won't disturb your family reunion. We'll also go take a bath and have a good rest, Song Ming said with a smile. He turned around and walked out with his hands behind his back. Fengjiu, we'll be leaving first, Ning Lang said. After a while, only Fengjiu, Xianyuan Mo's Fengjiu, Zhao Yang, and Ying Yi were left in the courtyard. As for Lung Shuang and Lung Hua, they were standing outside the courtyard. Feng Yi and Zhao Yang looked at the courtyard where only they were left. For a moment, they looked at Xianyuan Mo's and Fengjiu. Finally, Feng Yi pulled Zhao Yang and said, I'll go find Lung Hua and ask him to show us around the mansion. With that, he left quickly. Ying Yi stand down. As Xianyuan Mo spoke, he had Ying Yi, who was hiding in the shadows, stand down. Yes, Ying Yi responded and left quietly. Lung Shuang, who was outside the courtyard, saw this and left quietly. Only Xianyuan Mo's Fengjiu and Hao who was in Fengjiu's arms, were left in the courtyard. In Fengjiu's arms, the child didn't cry or make a fuss. He just blinked a pair of clear eyes and looked at her. Aju, don't you think it's better to let Lung Shuang carry the child down? Xianyuan Mo sat down beside her. Seeing that she was playing with the child and her attention was not on him, he couldn't help but have an idea. It seemed that he shouldn't be too gentlemanly. He should find a time to cook the rice first. If that didn't work, it wouldn't be bad to force himself on her. He was thinking and focused on cooking the rice and forcing himself on her. Therefore, he didn't notice that Fengjiu was staring at him after hearing his words. Last time, when the two of them were about to cook the raw rice, someone had ruined it. This time, if he continued to hold it in, then even if she didn't doubt him as a man, he would start to doubt himself. But what method should he use? This woman's heart was like a needle at the bottom of the sea. He couldn't figure it out. In the past, she didn't object to the marriage, but this time, she said that she wasn't in a hurry. She wasn't in a hurry, but he was. His fingers unconsciously tapped on the table. In his mind, he was already imagining the scene of having sex with her. When he thought of the alluring and enchanting scene that no one had ever seen before, he suddenly felt two streams of warm blood flowing down his nose. You're actually thinking about having a nosebleed? Fengjiu looked at him with a dumbfounded expression. She didn't know what he was thinking about. In the end, he looked like he was in love. He even had a nosebleed. The corners of her mouth couldn't help but twitch. She was sure that this guy was thinking about things that were not suitable for children. Xianyuan Mo looked at her calmly. He took out a handkerchief from his space and wiped the nosebleed. With an ascetic face, he said in a steady and magnetic voice, Nothing. I'm just a little heaty. Well, he was just a little heaty and needed a vent. Hearing this, Fengjiu's lips curved. She said with a faint smile, Oh, heaty? That's easy. I'll prescribe some medicine and have Lung Shuang boil it for you. I guarantee that you won't have any heatiness. Chapter 25:19. I see. All right then. Fengjiu shrugged, as if saying, Since you don't want it, I won't care. When will you go back? Xianyuan Mo suppressed the erotic image in his mind and asked calmly. Well, besides Zhou Junyang, who is recuperating in the mansion, my brother said that the Qiao family's people are coming to seek medical treatment. So, we can go back after this matter is settled. As she spoke, she thought for a moment and continued, It should be around half a month or so. That's good. We can take advantage of this time to have a good rest and recuperate before going home. I heard from Rin Xiang that you sent someone to the Cool Breeze gang. Oh, he sent you a message? So fast. Hui Lang and Ying Yi are in contact with him, so they know. He hadn't been back for long and hadn't seen Rin Xiang yet, so he naturally didn't know what was going on over there. However, Grey Wolf and Ying Yi were aware of all these big and small matters, so they had told him on the way. However, They only said that it was a very outstanding man, but did not know his identity. Do you remember the Temple of Dark Night? That man is the Lord of the Temple of Dark Night. I don't know what he is up to, but he came to my side. She paused for a moment before continuing. There were too many things going on recently, so I didn't have the time to keep an eye on him, so I sent him to Ren Xiang. Speaking of this, she could not help but laugh. He will suffer in that place. Back then, Hui Lang went to Ren Xiang's place and came back more obedient. Hearing this, Xianyuan Mo's eyes flashed. His gaze fell on Fengjiu, who was dressed in red and had a beautiful face. She was always so dazzling, like the stars in the sky, shining brightly. Coupled with her ability and her carefree personality, it was hard not to fall for her as long as she had interacted with people. She, who possessed boundless charm, was the only one who didn't know how attractive she was. Perhaps the Lord of the Temple of Dark Night was attracted to her, so he tried to get close to her. But humph! Who would dare to covet his woman? How dare he have designs on his woman? Let's see if he won't play him to death. Lung Shuang, Fengjiu, who was playing with the child, suddenly called out. His voice carried the aura of spiritual power. Although his voice was not loud, it could clearly be heard outside. Although Lung Shuang had left, he didn't go too far away. When he heard Fengjiu's voice, he walked in from outside. Master, Lung Shuang, how has been eating his fingers. He might be hungry. Go heat up some goat's milk and I'll feed him, Fengjiu said. Yes, sir. Lung Shuang turned around and left. Seeing this, Xianyuan Mo stood up and said, I just remembered that I have something to deal with. You feed the child first. I'll come over later. Okay. She nodded. After watching him leave, she continued to play with the child. After returning to the Ling residence, Xianyuan Mo sat down in the study and flipped through the documents on the table. After a while, he put down the documents, spread out a piece of paper, ground the ink, and wrote something on the paper. At the same time, he ordered, Ing Yi, go and call Hui Lang for me. Yes, sir. Ing Yi answered and left quietly. Not long after, Hui Lang came in from outside. Master, you were looking for me. Chapter 25:20. Send this to Ren Xiang. He folded the piece of paper he had written and handed it to Hui Lang. Hearing that it was for Ren Xiang, Hui Lang quickly received it and asked, Master, should I send it now, or should I send it tomorrow? He did not know what the instructions were. Was it urgent? Go now. Xianyuan Mo's low voice slowly drifted out. He leaned back in his chair and said, Have him do as this lord has instructed. If there is even the slightest mistake, this lord will hold him accountable. Yes, Grey Wolf hurriedly responded. He was curious, but he didn't dare to ask more. He just bowed and left first. After not returning for a long time, Xianyuan Mo took care of some matters in the Ling residence. He worked until the sky darkened. He watched from the shadows. Seeing that he was not prepared to stop, he walked out from the shadows. Master, the ghost doctor has sent Lung Shuang over to ask when Master will finish. The ghost doctor is waiting for you to eat. Hearing this, Xianyuan Mo stopped what he was doing. He raised his head and looked outside. It's this late? He stood up and patted his robes. Tidy up the things on the table and tidy them up. Yes. Yi complied and waved for someone to tidy up the table. In a Feng manner, Zhui Junyu pushed Zhui Junyang to the front yard and was talking with Fengjiu. I have done as you said during this period of time. Junyang has been recovering very quickly and can already walk on his own. It's just that it won't be for long. Zhui Junyu told her about his younger brother's legs. Before he finished, he asked, I heard that the old man was injured. Is his injury serious? Did he come back with you this time? Junyang's legs can be healed slowly. There's no need to rush. They will recover. She smiled at the two of them before her gaze landed on Zhui Junyue. She continued, As for the old man, his injuries aren't light either. When I returned, he was recuperating in the cave abode. I don't think he'll leave the mountain for a while. Junyang, I'll give you another prescription tomorrow. You can continue to use it. Don't worry, we'll all be going home soon. You guys can stay here. There's no need to rush home. She patted Zhui Junyang, who was sitting in the wheelchair. Zhui Junyang nodded. Yes. Thank you, Sister Feng. I understand. From the corner of his eye, Zhui Junyue saw a figure walking in from the outside. He said to Feng Jiu, "Then we won't disturb you." He cupped his hands and retreated. When he pushed Junyang past Xianyuan Mo's, he nodded at him and walked past him. "You came? You're done with work?" She smiled and looked at Xianyuan Mo's, who was walking in. "Yes." He nodded and said to Lung Shuang, who was waiting at the side, "Serve the food and wine." He then sat down next to Feng Jiu. Seeing Feng Jiu looking at him with his face in his hands, he asked, "Where's the child?" "He's asleep." She looked at him with a smile. "Do you want to hold him?" "No," he said straightforwardly. He didn't give birth to him. He wasn't interested. Hearing this, Feng Jiu couldn't help but laugh. "Oh, so you don't like children? Then are we going to have children in the future?" Chapter 25-21. After Lung Shuang led the servants to serve the food and wine, she bowed and retreated. Xianyuan Mo's picked up the wine jug and poured 2 cups of wine, then handed one to her. "I've been away for more than a year, and there wasn't a single moment when I wasn't thinking about finishing my business and returning as soon as possible. I've encountered a lot of things while you weren't around, especially the year when I was transported to the floating land. It was even more unexpected." She smiled. "Although I encountered a lot of trouble, my strength also increased. In the end, I even subdued so many cultivators and obtained the floating land. Fortune and misfortune are indeed interdependent." Xianyuan Mo's took a sip of wine and said, "You were lucky that the 4 immortal emperors helped you. Otherwise, it would have been difficult for you to reclaim the floating land with your strength. However, it was also a sign of goodwill from the 4 immortal emperors. After all, with your heaven-defying talent, who knows what you'll become in the future?" Feng Jiu chuckled. "The world says that I'm a genius. You also say that my talent is heaven-defying. However, I feel that I'm still far inferior to you in terms of talent." His strength surprised her every single time. Every single time, there was a feeling of pleasant surprise and incredulity. Hearing her praise, he seemed to be in a good mood. The corners of his lips curled up. His deep eyes fell on her beautiful face. He said in a low and magnetic voice, "If I'm not strong, how can I protect you?" As a man, especially Feng Jiu's man, how could he be weak? He had no desire to become the overlord of the world or the king of the world. He only wanted to stay by her side and protect her when she needed his protection. Therefore, even if he didn't have the ambition to rule the world, he would still improve his strength. This was for no other reason than to protect the people he wanted to protect. The two chatted in the courtyard while drinking wine. They enjoyed the rare tranquility and seclusion. It had been a long time since the two of them chatted like this. It wasn't until the night deepened that the 2 tipsy people went to their room. In the bedroom, Lung Shuang had already ordered people to prepare hot water for the 2 of them to bathe. After the door was closed, Lung Shuang also retreated to the courtyard. He held her waist with one hand and looked at her slightly drunk face that was flushed red like a peach blossom. Her tender and moist red lips made his eyes gradually turn dark. The hand around her waist also began to move erratically. "Aju, let me help you take off your clothes and bathe." His voice was low and hoarse, carrying a hint of seduction as it rang in her ears. His warm breath sprayed on her ear. Feng Jiu shrank her neck slightly and rubbed her head in his arms. She glanced at him with half-closed eyes and a little drunkenly. She chuckled, and a lazy and smiling voice came out of her mouth. "You want to help me take off my clothes?" No. It's better if I help you take it off." She threw herself into his arms and wrapped her arms around his waist. Her slender hands groped around his waist as she murmured, "And where's your belt?" "Here." He took her hand to his belt and said in a low and magnetic voice, "Since a Jew wants to help me take off my clothes, then help me bathe." Chapter 25-22. Feng Jiu reached out and untied his belt. An outer robe fell to the ground, revealing the inner robe. With a light flick of her fingers, she took off his shirt, revealing his muscular chest and well-defined abdominal muscles. Her slender hand gently touched his strong chest, and her palm stopped at his strong abdominal muscles. She only felt a little clumsy, but the touch was extremely tempting. Your body is strong again. These abdominal muscles are hard and clumsy. However, these well-defined abdominal muscles are very tempting. Let me touch them and want to do bad things. She showed a bad smile. The corners of her eyes were slightly raised, and her fingers gently stroked his abdominal muscles. When he heard this, the light in Xianyuan Moses' eyes deepened. He allowed her mischievous hands to caress his hand. "Oh, what else can you do?" There was a little expectation in his tone and eyes. "Look at you. Are you looking forward to me doing something bad to you?" Looking at his expression, she couldn't help but pinch the flesh on his waist. However, the flesh was so strong that she couldn't pinch it at all. "I'd love to." He held her hand and pulled her hand to his trousers. "It hasn't been taken off yet." Fengjiu glanced at his trousers from the corner of her eyes and chuckled. "I'm afraid that if I get angry, I won't be able to put out the fire. Then you'll suffer again. Even if you're not picky now, the fire has already started." His voice paused and was hoarse. "Didn't you say you'd serve me in the bath? Well, come on." She pulled his trousers and walked to the bathtub with a smile. "Don't take off your trousers first. Go into the water first." Hearing this, Xianyuan Mose raised his eyebrows, and the corner of his mouth held a smile that was not a smile. "My body, you've seen it before. Why don't you dare to see it today? It's not that I don't dare to meet you, but I'm afraid that I'll get heaty." She shrugged helplessly and saw that the man standing beside the bathtub had already taken off his pants. Two long, slender, and firm legs were bare in front of her. The corner of her mouth twitched when she saw this. She glanced at a certain place, and her face immediately burned. With some embarrassment, she looked elsewhere. Xianyuan Mose curled his lips when he saw how she wanted to look, but was too embarrassed to do so. He stepped into the bathtub and sat down. His deep voice was filled with seductive magnetism as he said unhurriedly, "What's more, I don't like wearing clothes while bathing." Seeing this, Fengjiu's face, which was as red as a peach blossom, turned around and looked straight at him. He said, "If that's the case, can I start now?" These words were said with a bit of excitement. Immediately, he saw her roll up her sleeves and come to the side of the bathtub behind him. She reached out to untie his hair, and her hands reached into the water. "Well." Xianyuan Mose groaned, and his body was suddenly unable to move. He was slightly surprised and asked, "Agio, what trick are you playing?" She had already sobered up after seeing this eye-catching scene. Now, she only had a trace of mischievous excitement and a little evil thought in her heart. Chapter 25-23. In the water, her slender hands were all over his body. If she wasn't touching him on the left, then she was pinching him on the right. However, Xianyuan Moses' entire body was still leaning against the side of the tub, allowing her to do whatever she wanted. And she didn't know if it was because he was comfortable or uncomfortable, but she heard him groan softly. His half-closed eyes opened, and he looked at the Fengjiu leaning over and said, "Ah, Gio, don't mess around." "I'm not messing around." She smiled with her eyes narrowed, and a jug of wine appeared in her hand at some unknown time. She said, "How about I feed you wine?" As she spoke, she slightly raised her head, slightly opened her tender and alluring red lips, and poured the wine from the jug in her hand into her mouth. The wine overflowed from the corner of her mouth and flowed down her beautiful snow-white neck until it disappeared into the depths of her clothes. However, the scene of the beauty drinking wine and the wine overflowing from her lips and flowing down her snow-white neck was very provocative. Xianyuan Mose, who was leaning against the side of the tub with his head slightly raised, deepened his eyes, and his gaze followed the wine down to her snow-white neck. His throat involuntarily moved up and down, and he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He didn't know that his Agio's seductive posture was actually so charming, but this action had already ignited a fire in his body, and this fire rushed to a certain place below his abdomen, but he couldn't find an outlet to vent it. At this moment, he finally understood why she said she had to be on guard. So it was like this. At this moment, he saw her bend down, and that peerlessly beautiful face was suffused with a peach blossom blush as she slowly approached, until those tender red lips landed on his thin lips. The warm and spicy wine flowed into his mouth from her mouth, and that asterisk was like a naughty fairy that chased and played with him. He tasted the wine and also tasted her sweetness. When he gradually lost himself in her gentleness and passion, she suddenly retreated. "How is this wine?" She smiled like a cunning fox, looking at him with pride and slyness. "This wine is mellow and sweet, making one unable to stop." His voice was low and hoarse, and his burning gaze fell on her red lips. "Since you like it, then let's do it again." Her eyes flickered, revealing her charm. Looking at her, sometimes cunning like a fox, sometimes pure like a lotus, sometimes charming and seductive, sometimes enchanting and provocative, he could not help but feel a ripple in his heart. His deep eyes looked at her with burning flames, and he called out in a hoarse voice, "Agio, don't play with me anymore. When are you going to come down and bathe with me?" He originally wanted to take a bath with her, but who knew that he had already taken off all his clothes, and she was still standing outside the bathtub, fully clothed. Inexplicably, he had a premonition that tonight she would definitely start a fire and not be responsible for extinguishing it. "Shared a bath? I didn't want to share a bath with you." She smiled shyly and said, "Aze, I haven't told you that I'm on my period and can't take a bath." Hearing this, his expression was stunned, and he did not react for a while. Seeing his stunned expression, she could not help but chuckle. She reached out and hugged his body, drawing circles on his chest with one hand. She leaned against his ear and whispered, "But that's fine, I won't take a bath, but I definitely won't let you hold back your anger." Chapter 25-24. The door to the room was tightly shut. From time to time, there would be laughter and light snorts coming from the room. The moon in the sky seemed to know that the two people in the room were doing something shameful, so it hid in the clouds and did not come out. After an unknown amount of time, the room regained its tranquility. Not long after, a red figure walked out. "Lung Shuang, don't stand guard here. Let's go. I'll go sleep with Hao tonight." Fengjiu's voice was light and cheerful, leaving the man in the room hanging. Lung Shuang complied and quietly followed behind her. The night gradually deepened. In the courtyard, in the side room, Xianyuan Mose, whose pressure points had been sealed, let out a sigh of relief after the pressure points were unsealed. He shook his head and scolded with a smile. What a little demon. He stood up from the water with a splash, water droplets dripping from his naked body. He stepped out of the water with his slender legs, wiped off the water droplets on his body, put on his inner clothes, and walked towards the big bed in the inner room. The large bed was empty, and there was not a single person in sight. He looked outside and shook his head. She really did throw me down to accompany that brat. He lay down on the bed, but his mind was filled with the erotic scenes of tonight. His heart couldn't help but become restless again. He took a deep breath and suppressed the restlessness in his heart. He threw away the scenes in his mind and closed his eyes to sleep. The next morning, news came from the Heavenly Pill building that a man surnamed Xiao had come see them. When the news reached the Feng Manor, Fengjiu had not yet woken up. Thus, when Guan Shilin found out that Xiao Yinhua had arrived, he said to Yi Qing, "I'll go take a look. You can stay in the manor." After that, he left first. In the Heavenly Pill building, Xiao Yinhua sat on the first floor and drank tea. Looking at the pills placed in the Heavenly Pill house, he felt his heart tremble. He felt that it was unbelievable. Although he knew from the mouths of the people outside that every pill in the Heavenly Elixir building was a heaven-defying existence, when he personally came here and saw the pills placed on the first floor of the Heavenly Elixir building, the elixir veins, the pills that were hard to find outside, were casually placed on the first floor for people to see. His heart twitched, and he was unable to calm down for a long time. He drank his tea, but his mind was racing. He had set off the day after Guanxilin and the others had left. He had rushed all the way here without stopping to rest. Now that he had arrived at Hundred River City and heard that the ghost doctor and the others had returned, he hurried to the Heavenly Pill building. Now that he was here, he was a little apprehensive. The ghost Dr. Fengjiu, such a noble and extraordinary person, would he really meet him? Would he really treat his grandfather? Although Guanxilin had introduced him, his heart was still in turmoil. Especially after seeing the Heavenly Pill building's formation, he felt even more uncertain. Just as he was letting his imagination run wild, a deep and resounding laughter came from outside. "Ah, it really is you. I didn't expect you to arrive at Hundred Rivers City so quickly." Guanxilin walked in with large strides. Before he arrived, his laughter arrived first. Hearing the voice, Chao Inua quickly put down the teacup in his hand and stood up to greet him, "Big Brother Guan." Chapter 25:25. He only saw him and did not see the ghost, Dr. Fengjiu, so he could not help but feel a bit worried. "Don't worry, she'll be here a bit later." Guanxilin smiled and patted his shoulder, asking, "Your grandfather is also here?" "Yes, I brought my grandfather here." Because he was worried that they would be delayed for too long, he had been rushing non-stop towards by River City, afraid that he would not be able to meet them if he was late. "Where are you living right now?" Guanxilin asked. Hearing this, Chao Inua hurriedly replied, "We have a family business branch in Hundred River City. We also have a residence here, in the Western Street. My grandfather and the others are currently living in a residence on the Western Street." "Oh, West Street. That's very close. This Heavenly Pill building is on West Street. Which residence is it? Tell me. When Fengjiu comes later, I'll bring her over. It's a residence at the end of West Street. It's very easy to find. Just follow this road until you reach the end. After you turn a corner, you'll see the residence. It's called the Qiao Residence." He smiled and said, "All right, I'll remember it. You can go back first. When she arrives, I'll bring her over." "All right. Many thanks, Big Brother Guan." He gratefully bowed to him before turning around and heading towards the Qiao residence. Because they slept late last night, Fengjiu also woke up late today. After eating breakfast with Xinyuan Mose and the others, she told him that she was going out for a bit. She left the manor with Lung Hua and headed towards the Heavenly Pill building. "Xiaojiu, you're here." Guanxilin, who had been chatting with him on the first floor, saw her come in and smiled as he walked over. "I thought you wouldn't wake up until the afternoon. I've been up for a while. I played with little Hao in the manor before leaving." She smiled and asked, "Is the person you were talking about here?" "Oh, Chao Inua is here. She's been here since this morning. She said that she lives at the end of West Street. I wanted to wait for you and then go over with you." Hearing this, she nodded. "Okay, then I'll go with you." She had Lung Hua follow her out the door, and the three of them went to the Qiao residence at the end of the street. At this moment, in the Qiao residence, Chao Inua was sitting by the bed in the courtyard, looking at his unconscious grandfather on the bed. He frowned and was a little worried. He had rushed all the way here, and his grandfather had been unconscious. Looking at him now, his grandfather's complexion was even worse than before. "Third elder, how is grandfather's health?" he asked one of the elders standing beside the bed. This was the third elder of the Qiao residence. He was proficient in medicine. Ever since his grandfather fell into a coma, he had been nursing his grandfather's body. "Your complexion is a little pale. After all, you have suffered a lot on the way here. But don't worry, you will gradually recover in a few days." As the third elder spoke, he looked at Chao in awe and hesitated before saying, "What I'm more worried about is whether the ghost doctor can really wake the old master up." Hearing this, Chao Inua said with certainty, "She definitely can. You don't know this, but the pills I saw in the Heavenly Pill house this morning and the ones on the first floor can't even compare to the ones in our Qiao family's collection. I believe that as long as the ghost doctor is willing to help, grandfather will definitely wake up." "I hope so." The third elder sighed softly and glanced at the two elders beside him. Chapter 25-26. Hearing this, Chow Inua hurriedly got up and went out to welcome them. The three elders by the bed looked at each other and left the third elder to guard the bed while the other two followed. Fengjiu, Guan Shilin, and Leng Hua were following a guard inside. Before they even entered, they could faintly hear the guard running in front of them, shouting in joy. They were invited to the front hall, and the servants quickly served them tea. Not long after, Chow Inua and the two elders arrived at the front hall. Chow Inua greets the ghost doctor and Brother Guan. He stepped forward and bowed before looking at the beautiful woman in red. When he saw her, he couldn't help but be stunned. Although the rumors said that the ghost doctor had a beauty that could topple cities, seeing it with his own eyes, he knew that beauty alone couldn't describe her beauty. However, he didn't dare to look at her for too long. He was afraid that he would be rude in front of others and cause her to dislike him. "You are Chow Inua?" Fengjiu's gaze was also sizing up the man in front of her. He was very young, but his actions were considered steady. Her gaze shifted away from Chow Inua and landed on the two old men at the side. "Yes, I am Chow Inua," he replied. At this time, the two elders saw that Fengjiu was staring at them and stepped forward to bow. "Greetings to the ghost doctor. We are the elders of the Chow family. This time, we were ordered to escort the eldest young master and the old master to 100 Creek City." Fengjiu nodded slightly. "Where's your old master? Bring me to see him," she stood up and said as she patted her dress. Hearing this, Chow Inua was delighted and hurriedly said, "Ghost Doctor, Brother Guan, please follow me." He led them to the backyard with the two elders following behind them. Seeing the dazzling red figure walking in front, the two elders' hearts trembled. No wonder everyone said that the ghost doctor's talent was unparalleled in the world. Her appearance and bearing were already rare in the world. Not to mention, such an outstanding woman also had powerful strength and shocking medical and alchemy skills. No matter how miraculous the rumors were, they couldn't compare to the shock brought by seeing it with their own eyes. Walking past the railing, they arrived at the backyard. Fengjiu saw an old man waiting in front of the open door. Chow Inua, who was walking in front, introduced the old man. "Ghost Doctor, this is the third elder of our Chow family. Ever since my grandfather fell into a coma, the third elder has been taking care of him. Greetings, Ghost Doctor." The third elder also stepped forward and bowed. Fengjiu nodded and walked into the room. She came to the side of the bed and looked at the unconscious old man lying on the bed. Her eyes flashed slightly. This old man looked about the same as her grandfather before his strength had increased. They both had a head of white hair and a white beard. However, he was thin and his cheeks were sunken in. His face was haggard. She stepped forward and reached out to take his pulse. Carefully examining his body, she asked, "How long has he been in this state?" If Ghost Doctor is asking about being unconscious, then the old master should have been unconscious for about 2 years. Third elder said from the side. He looked at her and said, "These 2 years, I have been using medicine to take care of his heart. However, even with the medicine, he still hasn't woken up." Chapter 25-27. Hearing this, Guan Shilin gestured to Chow Inua and walked out. Seeing this, Chow Inua walked out with the other two elders, leaving only Leng Hua and third elder in the side room. "Help him up and take off his clothes," Fengjiu instructed as she ran her fingers across the silver needles. Finally, she pulled out a long and thin silver needle. Leng Hua helped the old man up. With third elder's help, they removed old Master Chiao's clothes, revealing his emaciated body. Third elder watched as Fengjiu pierced the acupuncture points on old Master Chiao's back with the silver needle. The first needle was inserted, followed by the second and third. When he saw that she was stabbing the acupuncture points on old Master Chiao's back with the silver needle, his heart instantly jumped. He wanted to stop her, but it was too late. He could only feel his heart thumping wildly. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and even his face turned pale. However, just as he thought that something would happen if the needle pierced the acupuncture points, he saw her suddenly turn old Master Chiao around. She pressed old Master Chiao to the side of the bed and hit his chest with her palm. You. As soon as he spoke, old Master Chiao spat out a mouthful of blood. There were blood clots in the blood, and the color of the blood was dark red. It looked as if it had been clogged in his body for a long time. Fengjiu glanced at him and calmly retracted her gaze. She took out another silver needle. This time, her silver needle did not land on old Master Chiao's body. Instead, it pierced the top of old Master Chiao's head. Third Elder did not react for a long time. He stood stiffly at the side and stared at the scene in front of him with wide eyes. Each of the silver needles was inserted into the death point, but it was also the life point. However, he had never seen such a method of inserting needles. Even though he had studied medicine for decades, he did not dare to say that he could accurately insert silver needles into the death point. One had to know that as long as there was a slight difference, the needle could really take a person's life. What made him feel even more incredulous was that the silver needles on the old master's head were gradually emitting white smoke. As the smoke rose, the old master's forehead was covered in sweat, and his originally pale face gradually became rosy. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but he seemed to have seen the old master, who had been in a coma for 2 years, frown slightly. Time passed by slowly. Fengjiu was busy applying acupuncture and helping him circulate his qi to promote blood circulation and relax his muscles and bones, while Leng Hua was assisting beside him. Only the third elder was dumbfounded. He stood motionless at the end of the bed like a wooden man, his face full of disbelief. Yes, a muffled groan came from old Master Chiao's mouth. Third elder widened his eyes in shock, as if he could not believe that the sound he heard came from the mouth of the old Master Chiao who had been in a coma for 2 years. After hearing the old master's groan, Fengjiu began to pull out the silver needles one by one. Finally, she had Leng Hua help the old master put on his shirt and helped him lie down. Then, she took the old master's pulse again and carefully examined it. On the bed, old Master Chiao's eyebrows moved slightly. Not long after, he slowly opened his eyes. He was somewhat dazed and confused as he looked at Fengjiu, who was dressed in red, by the bed. He did not recognize her, but he recognized Third Elder who was standing at the end of the bed. Chapter 25-28. Old Third, what's wrong with me? He already couldn't remember what was wrong with him. He only felt that his eyelids were very heavy when he opened his eyes, as if he wanted to continue sleeping. Just as Third Elder was about to speak, he heard Fengjiu's voice. His body is weak right now. Don't waste his energy. Let him sleep for a while longer. Fengjiu calmly said. He took back his hand and put away the silver needles that Leng Hua had tidied up. At the same time, he hit the old man's sleep pressure point. Seeing the old man who had just opened his eyes fall asleep again, Third Elder couldn't help but ask, Ghost Doctor, my family's old man is, after resting for a while, his body will naturally recover. She stood up and looked at him. You've done a good job of resting his body. Then I'll leave the rest of your family's old man to you. This means that my family's old man has recovered? He asked in disbelief. Fengjiu raised his eyebrows, saying, Didn't you see that he's awake? Hearing this, Third Elder was stunned for a while. When he came back to his senses, he exclaimed, That's great. That's great. He quickly walked out, wanted to tell Chiao Inual and the other 2 elders the good news. The door opened, and everyone outside the courtyard turned around to look. They saw Third Elder walking out with an excited expression. Eldest young master, the old master is awake. The old master is awake. He grabbed Chiao Inua's hands and said excitedly, Just now, the old master opened his eyes and spoke. He's really awake. Hearing this, Chiao Inual and the other 2 elders were stunned. Then they were overjoyed. Really? That's great. I'll go in and take a look. He quickly walked toward the side room. However, before he could enter, he saw Fengjiu and Leng Hua walk out. He immediately stopped. Ghost Doctor, is my grandfather really awake? Is he really all right? He's awake, but his body is too weak. I've hit his sleep pressure point to let him sleep for a while. Try not to disturb him, Feng Jiu said slowly. After he walked out of the room, he continued, as for the later stages of recuperation, let the third elder handle it. Apart from Guan Shilin, who looked normal, the other members of the Chow family were all excited. They couldn't believe it was true. Brother, let's go back, Feng Jiu said as he walked to Guan Shilin's side. Seeing this, Guan Shilin said to Chow in awe, if that's the case, we'll leave first. I'll send you guys off, Chow Inua said as she regained her senses. She couldn't hide the excitement on her face. No need, Feng Jiu said as he walked out with Guan Shilin and Leng Hua. Although Feng Jiu said that there was no need to send them off, Chow Inua still followed them out. When they reached the main gate, he handed a space ring to Feng Jiu. Ghost Doctor, this is a gift prepared by my father. Although it's not something priceless, it's still a token of our sincerity. Please accept it. Seeing this, Feng Jiu glanced at Chow Inua. She paused for a moment before letting Leng Hua take it. At the same time, she left behind a bottle of medicine. This is the medicine. Give it to your grandfather tonight. She handed the medicine to him before turning to leave. After returning to the courtyard, Chow Inua repeatedly asked the third elder to confirm that his grandfather had really woken up. He immediately ordered someone to quickly send this news back to the main house to inform his father. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.